Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The end of the world. Many children, many blessings, the school beauty comes to your door at the beginning. Chapter 31. However, Dongfang Ruiyu didn't notice Yi Yunyi's eyes. City Lord Yi, I am Dongfang Ruiyu. Welcome. Here are the city lords of several other barriers. Dongfang Ruiyu introduced Yi Yi, revealing several city lords behind. Several city lords looked at Yi Yunyi with smiles on their faces. There is no impatience at all. Now is the time to introduce myself. Plus he shook hands with Yi Yunyi. When the middle-aged man who spoke before shook hands with Yi Yunyi, his hands were shaking a little, and his whole person was in a guilty state. The others looked at him and felt guilty. After all, they were also making rude remarks while waiting. Everyone, come in. Dongfang Ruiyu led everyone into the room. Dongfang City Lord, why did you come to us today? Yi Yunyi came up and went straight to the topic. Dongfang Ruiyu's general Yi Yunyi was so direct, but he didn't give in. Do you know about the blue and white barrier? Blue and white barrier. One sentence made many city lords shake their heads. A city lord thought for a while and said, I've heard that it should be a relatively powerful barrier in our area. I heard that there are many masters in it, but they all seem to be working on their own. Not even the city lord. Quote, what's wrong? Listening to the words of the city lord, Dongfang Ruiyu also nodded, this is the news you mentioned before, but it is different now. Now the blue and white barrier has formed an organization by a strong man. It's called the exorcism. Now, it seems that there will be an order from the exorcist, requiring a small barriers to hand over a large number of crystal nuclei. Of course, they said they would protect us too. Quote, a few words. Everyone's expressions darkened. What does this mean? Turn in a lot of crystal cores. Protect us. For a moment, these words raised a lot of question marks in their hearts. After all, they are not children anymore. In the last days, no one is a fool. What protection? It is said that the sky is high and the emperor is far away, beyond the reach of a whip. No talk of protection. This is completely naked robbery. But it's a different way of saying it. How can this be done? A city lord shouted at the police. Those crystal nuclei were obtained after we fought desperately to kill the alien beasts, and they just want to take them away directly. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. If we give in, who knows if things will get worse in the future. After one sentence, everyone was filled with indignation. Dongfang Ruiyu also sighed after listening, you were right, everyone knows what is going on. But, there are many powerful people in the exorcism society, and there are more than 2 hands of gold level people. I heard that the president of their exorcism club has even reached the diamond stage. Quote. Boom. In a word, it's like a live muffler. This room suddenly fell into deathly silence. Diamonds, early days. At this moment, the air seemed to freeze. Everyone's eyes were a little dull. This is too strong. Most of them are in the late silver stage. The gap is not that big. This, resistance, how to resist. The people who were filled with indignation just now were silent at this time. Look towards the east like rain. If it is true as Dongfang Ruiyu said, then the protection fee must be paid whether it is paid or not. There is no room for redemption. Well, the reason why I came to you today is to tell you about this matter. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at everyone and said, I want to tell everyone the news in advance so that everyone can prepare early. Everyone heard this and nodded. Although they don't know how many crystal nuclei they need. But it's definitely massive. There is no doubt about this. Yi Yunyi listened. It seems that we have to work hard next. Have to work hard. Otherwise, in this apocalyptic world where strength is paramount, not only Warcraft will fight against humans. The strong among humans will also wield their swords against the weak. As for the crystal cores, he doesn't even have enough, so what the heck? If you give it to him, he can still accept it. I asked him to pay for protection money, but he couldn't pay even a little. The other side. In the Han family, a man is sitting on a chair in the yard. His face was full of decadence. The beard is also messy. At first glance, it seems that there is no thought to take care of it. The man looked at the sky and clenched his fists. Crack. He hates him so much. Unexpectedly, Zhang Cheng and his gang actually robbed his Han family's belongings and even kidnapped his 2 daughters. Hateful, hateful, pity his 2 daughters, they may have already. When the man thought of this, he didn't dare to think about it anymore. Next to him, several Han family children looked at Han Tiansheng. I also sighed silently in my heart. After all, the last incident severely damaged the vitality of the entire Han family. Not only were the Han family's belongings robbed, but some strangers from the Han family were also killed. Plus the head of the family is decadent. The current Han family is far worse than before. Now, many foreign families have begun to encroach on the Han family's territory and power. No way. While they were sighing, not far away, door. Dad, Dad, 2 sentences. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Han Tiansheng looked in front of him, and then his eyes suddenly widened and he couldn't believe what he saw. This. He looked at Han Bingshe and Han Bingyu in front of him and burst into tears for a moment. His daughters, still alive. It's even back. This. Han Tiansheng stepped forward and rushed towards the 2 of them. Afterwards, the 3 of them hugged each other. The other children of the Han family looked at it and were also stunned. This, they are still alive. At that moment, there was a smile on his face. After hugging for a while, Han Tiansheng looked at the 2 of them, and then pulled them over. Are you guys okay? They didn't do anything to you after they were taken away by Zhang Cheng and the others, right? When he asked this question, Han Tiansheng's voice was already trembling. We were taken out of the barrier by him and ran very far. Originally, we were already in despair. However, we met a strong man. He saved us. Quote, Han Bingshe said, and then added, Zhang Cheng and his group were all killed. Ha ha ha. Han Tiansheng suddenly looked up to the sky and smiled, have a good death. Have a good death. Here Han Tiansheng was ready to talk to the 2 of them. Then, he asked the people next to him to prepare some food. After all, it was almost time to eat. A while, Bingshuibingyu, your favorite braised pork. A Han family member brought the dish over. Han Bingshe watched with excitement. This is her and her sister's favorite food. She was just about to use her chopsticks. Here, Han Bingyu looked at the braised pork. Smells greasy. He stood up immediately. Hurry and run to the other side. In the doubtful eyes of everyone. Hold on to a tree. Then, he started retching. Here, Han Bingshe also hurried over. What's wrong, sister? Han Bingshe asked with concern, and then looked at her sister's reaction, as if she suddenly thought of something. Bingyu, you can't be, right? Got it. Here, Han Tiansheng saw that his daughter was not feeling well, so he quickly prepared to come over. But as soon as he stood up, he heard Han Bingshui's voice. What's left? What's there? What's there? In an instant, 10,000 question marks rose in his mind. However, he ruled it out in the end. There was only one last thought left that he least wanted to think of. Bingyu, are you pregnant? As soon as Han Bingyu finished vomiting, she heard her father's voice. He was stunned for a moment. Blushed immediately. She just felt something was wrong lately. That has been postponed for several days. She is always on time. At that moment, she nodded. Boom. Han Tiansheng looked at her. His daughter had been harmed by some fool. What's going on? What's going on? Han Tiansheng asked, eager to know the answer. Han Bingshe also said here, my sister and I married the same person, the one who saved us. We are now a family. Boom. Han Tiansheng felt dizzy after hearing this. Nonsense. Isn't this nonsense? Han Tiansheng thought, his teeth itching with hatred. Although he now knows that it is the end of the world and the social order has changed. It is normal for those strangers around him to marry several. He didn't think anything of it either. But now he's here with his daughter. How could he not be furious? Who is it? Here, just when Han Tiansheng wanted to ask questions, the Han family children outside hurried in. Uncle, uncle, someone is coming outside. The children of the Han family ran in a panic, which made the already angry Han Tiansheng even more angry. Why are you panicking? What's wrong? There is someone outside who said he came to our Han family to find his wife. What a wife. What a mess. Let him go. Han Tiansheng didn't react for a moment, but the next moment, he saw the 2 girls in front of him. It became clear in an instant. So, the one at the door is. At that moment, he walked out angrily. Dad, Dad, don't. Han Bingshe and Han Bingyu did not stop him and could only follow Han Tiansheng outside. But neither of them are strangers, how could they catch up with Han Tiansheng in an instant? We can only watch Han Tiansheng go out first. They can only hope that their father will not fight with Yi Yuni. Looking at my father's anger now, it's really possible. Here, Han Tiansheng comes out. Just a breath of breath sprayed on his face. He wiped his face and looked in front of him. Next moment, the hair on my body suddenly exploded. The whole person is stagnant. The canthus of the eyes is about to burst. What was in front of him was the huge head of the red flame tiger. At this time, a pair of tiger eyes were staring at Han Tiansheng. Han Tiansheng's legs also became weak. He knew about this strange beast. The red flame tiger in the early golden stage. A strange beast of this level. How did you come to the barrier? Where is the lord of Dongfang City? Next moment, get down. A voice came. Kai Yan, who just lowered his head and lay down. On the back, Yi Yuni, Bai Jixi, and Dongfang Ruyu also came down. Han Tiansheng looked at several people. Stunned there. A violent beast like the red flame tiger would definitely rather be broken into pieces than destroyed. How could anyone sit on its back? From behind, Han Bingshe and Han Bingyu also chased out, looking at Yi Yuni outside. Husband, you are here. With that said, the two of them ran towards Yi Yuni. Han Tiansheng's eyes narrowed, looking at Yi Yuni. This was actually the man his two daughters married. Next to him, Dongfang Ruyu looked at Han Tiansheng. You are so lucky to have a son-in-law like City Lord Yi, who is the lord of Nebula Barrier. Strong and tyrannical, this red flame tiger is his mount. Quote. Call. These news filled Han Tiansheng's mind in an instant. City Lord, is this red flame tiger his mount? This, still such a young talent. His anger dissipated in an instant. Such a good son-in-law. Here, Han Bingshe and Han Bingyu looked at their father's changing expressions. I am also worried. If a fight breaks out right now, how can they start a fight? One is the husband and the other is the father. The next moment, Han Tiansheng came over. This action made the Han sisters' hearts rise to their throats. Only, oh, it turns out that the virtuous son-in-law is here. Han Bingshe, Han Bingyu, what's going on? Dad, why did you just look like you were going to eat the person who got your sister pregnant alive? It has nothing to do with what it is now. Here, they are still thinking about it. Han Tiansheng was already smiling. My dear son-in-law, let's stop standing outside as a family and come home quickly. Dongfang City Lord, you come too. Let's have a meal together. It's almost dinner time. Han Tiansheng warmly invited several people in. Han Bingyu and Han Bingshe stood there with helpless expressions on their faces. Good guy, such enthusiasm. Yi Yuni also looked at it, nodded and said yes, then looked at Kai Yanhu, just stay outside and watch. Roar, Kai Yanhu responded, lying sideways at the door of Han's house. Han Tiansheng was even more shocked when he saw Kai Yanhu obeying Yi Yuni's orders like this. After a while, inside, the food is also ready. After everyone sits down, Han Tiansheng also poured a glass of wine. Xian's son-in-law, I'll do it first. You can do whatever you want. After saying that, he just raised his head and drank a glass of wine. Everyone, missed grass. Is this the attitude a father-in-law should have towards his son-in-law? Toast your son-in-law directly. Has the current world become like this? Yi Yuni also offered a glass of wine in return. Then, everyone started to use chopsticks and eat. At the same time, the news is also spreading throughout the seaside barrier. Do you know, Han Tiansheng is about to take off. Did you see something lying in front of Han's house? We're not blind. That's the red flame tiger. The mist grass, a strange beast in the early golden stage. Does anyone know what's going on? Several strangers gathered together to discuss, with extreme shock on their faces. Next to him, a person heard the sound and came over. I heard that this is Lord Yi's mount. Lord Yecheng, the city lord of Nebula Barrier, this red flame tiger is his mount. Mount. In one sentence, everyone was shocked. Mount, this weight is heavy. That being said, the strength of this Yi city lord is at least in the middle stage of gold. Even higher. Thinking of this, they all had pupil earthquakes. Then what happened to Han Tiansheng? I heard from the children of the Han family that Han Tiansheng's two daughters followed Yi city lord, so now Han Tiansheng is the father-in-law of Yi City Lord. Everyone was in a daze as they listened. What? Can it still be like this? After a long time, a foreigner suddenly cursed, "My daughter is no worse than Han Tiansheng's 2 daughters. His daughter is also beautiful and fragrant. Definitely no worse than Han Tiansheng's 2 daughters. Then why, he, Han Tiansheng, could find such a good son-in-law? This is not fair." In an instant, his mind started spinning crazily. Since we can marry Han Tiansheng's 2 daughters, it shouldn't be a problem to add another one, right? Right, that's all. At that moment, he ran towards home. Here, everyone was stunned as they watched him running towards home. This guy, what are you doing back in such a hurry? Who knows? That's right, he ran away without even saying hello. Here, several people were discussing, and suddenly one of them remembered what he said just now. His daughter is not bad either. Oh my god, I remember this guy's daughter is really pretty. For a moment, everyone fell silent. What's the meaning? Then, they suddenly woke up. Good guy, this is to prepare to go back and take my daughter to tie the knot with Lord Yi. This brain is so bright. At this moment, many strangers also had their thoughts in mind. Then, the eyes of several people dimmed. What the hell? It's not okay for their own daughter to behave like that. Is this not over? Once the news came out, some people were happy and some were sad. Those who have beautiful daughters go home and start getting ready. Those who don't have beautiful daughters can only stand there and stare. At the same time, over here, at the Han family's wine table, Han Tiansheng had already finished a bottle of wine. But his face still couldn't help being happy. From then on, his 2 daughters were not just following Yi Yuni to become popular drinkers. Even their Han family will come out of their previous loneliness. Good thing. Great thing. After a while, after eating, several people drank tea in the living room, and then outside, the children of the Han family came to report. Uncle, many strangers have gathered outside. Do you want to go out and have a look? Han Tiansheng was also stunned. Many strangers have gathered here. What to do? But then he seemed to understand. After all, what is the Han family lying outside now? That was the early golden beast, the red flame tiger. These strangers are probably not here to look at the powerful beasts. How about we go out and take a look? Han Tiansheng suggested, and Yi Yuni nodded. At that moment, a few people went out. After going out, Han Tiansheng's expression changed instantly. He glared fiercely at the Han family disciple who just reported the news. I can't even understand what I'm saying. Are these a lot of strangers? Haven't you seen that these strangers are all accompanied by beautiful girls? This means, it's so obvious. Here, many strangers saw Yi Yuni and the others coming out, and their eyes fell on Yi Yuni. At that moment, he was stunned. A pair of eyes widened, they couldn't believe what they saw. So young, so promising. From now on, the future is limitless. They were just about to step forward. Here, when the lying Kai Yanhu saw Yi Yuni coming out, he quickly stood up from the ground and bowed his head next to Yi Yuni. This move shocked everyone around him even more. After all, they were here just now and wanted to get close to the Han family's gate. Then Kai Yanhu would raise his tiger eyes. The cold light in those eyes. Let them not dare to step forward easily. This guy should really be able to tear them apart. But now, he bowed his head to Yi Yuni with utmost respect. This gap is simply not too obvious. At this time, people on both sides looked at each other. A stranger pushed the girl next to him. The girl was stunned when she saw Yi Yuni just now. He was so handsome. At the moment, her beautiful eyes were flowing, and while she was in a daze, she was pushed by her father. Then stepped forward. Lord Yecheng, I have heard about your deeds and admire you very much. If you never give up, I am willing to serve you. In one sentence, many people around him were stunned. So direct. Then, the other strangers here reacted. This is not straightforward. What are you waiting for? Waiting for someone else to grab the spot. City Lord Yi, my daughter also admires you very much. My daughter is the same. My daughter is the same. In an instant, a group of strangers rushed forward. Said quickly. Han Tiansheng looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Your mother's kiss. But then he held his head high. After all, what can I say about this thing? You have just reached this point, and my daughter already has a child. How do you compare? Why compare? Even if you come in from now on, you will always call my daughter sister. Yi Yunyi looked in front of him and was in a good mood. This is okay. I didn't expect that this trip to the seaside barrier would bring such a special harvest. It just so happens that he wants to improve his strength recently. It seems that the speed of getting married is getting faster. After all, time waits for no one. Just when Yi Yunyi's side was in full swing. At this time, on the tower of Nebula barrier, a stranger looked into the distance and frowned. The aliens below were also looking not far away. Listen to the shouts. I was stunned at the moment. Look over there. I saw smoke and dust rising. Once they were out of the forest, everyone could see them. A group of people is coming towards them. Everyone in this team has a fierce look on their face. There are a lot of scars on the face. What's more, it's a one-eyed dragon. However, this is proof that they have experienced many battles. What do these people do? Several people came under the barrier. Look at the stranger in front of you. Who are you? What are you doing? The strangers under the barrier immediately stared at them and roared. We are a mighty barrier. Mighty barrier. One sentence made everyone shrink their eyes. They are relatively clear about this barrier. In other words, this barrier is notorious. Within this barrier, there are no survivors other than aliens. There are all strangers there. Of course, there are only a few. And these strangers don't even know how to work. What they rely on is robbery. Simply put, they are a den of bandits. The people inside are all bandits. No, they are worse than bandits. Ha ha ha. The leader of the foreigners looked at the faces of everyone in front of him. It seems that you know our reputation. Why don't you get out? Hand over all the resources in your city. You are simply looking for death. Aren't you afraid of our city lord? Get the hell out of here. Your city lord, a late-stage silver man, just like this, you want to scare me. The leader of the one-eyed dragon said, and then he snorted coldly. Their city lord is a real strong man in the early golden stage. This is him, who is also in the late silver stage. Most of the people he leads today are in the mid to late silver stage. Why threaten him like this first? A fantasy. One sentence made everyone in Nebula Barrier's expressions freeze. It seems that they don't know about Lord Yi's city yet. But, it's useless to say this now. After all, City Lord Yi, Baizhixi and Kai Yanhu are not in the barrier. And we can't let them in. If they enter, there will probably be a bloody storm in the barrier. We can only bite the bullet and fight. Kill, seeking death. The one-eyed dragon narrowed his remaining eyes and waved his hand. The strong men behind also stepped forward. On top of the tower, the war drums also sounded in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the strangers in the barrier heard it and were stunned. Everyone feels like their scalps are exploding. What the hell? What's the meaning? Is this another beast wave? In the villa, Zhou Weiwei heard this voice and stood up suddenly. This is that sound of war drums before. Is this, the beast tide is coming? At that moment, she was stunned. Now my husband and sister Bai are not here. Then she looked at Xiao Haixi, thinking about what Yi Yunyi said to her. At that moment, he just dragged Xiao Haixi out. Let's go to the city gate. Zhou Weiwei said, then looked at Xiao Haixi. The corners of his mouth also twitched. Does she want to ride? Dog riding. Riding a dog breaks your crotch. However, the situation is urgent now, and there is no need to worry about so much. At that moment, she stepped on Xiao Haixi and hugged its neck. Let's go, little Haixi, to the city gate. Xiao Haixi next moment. He just jumped out. The speed gradually increases. At the same time, here, a group of strangers are rushing towards the city gate. All of them had serious expressions on their faces. They know that the current situation is more critical than before. After all, now City Lord Yi, Baizhixi and Kai Yanhu are not here. This time, I'm afraid I'm going to die. They thought about it, but they never looked back. The feet are faster. Next moment, then I heard the sound of breaking wind coming from behind. They looked behind. Suddenly, they all gasped. They couldn't believe what they saw. What is this? Call. Next moment, just watching a black shadow shoot out in front of them. It almost made a sonic boom. What is this? What was that ran over just now? A foreigner was stunned for a while and then asked. Everyone was also in a daze. It looked like a dog to me. I remembered. This is the black dog in Lord Yi's house. One sentence seems to wake up the dreamer. It really is. Every stranger who attended the banquet thought about it. This is indeed from Yi Yunyi's house. They originally thought it was a strange beast without levels, similar to the dogs before the end of the world. But did not expect there is such speed, since it is also a powerful alien beast. Lord Yecheng, how many trump cards and powerful exotic beast pets do you have? One sentence simply touched everyone's heart. Really? It's really scary. This way, before the barrier. The fighting has begun. However, it can be said to be devastating. After all, the strength gap between the two sides is too big. Poof! There was a sound of broken flesh and blood, and the one-eyed dragon directly chopped off the arm of the alien in front of him. In an instant, blood flew. Then, there was a backhand knife. It fell off. Quick fight. After the one-eyed dragon said this, his men's attacks became even more fierce and fierce. Once he takes action, it's a killer move. Just for a moment. There were dozens of corpses lying there. At the same time, within the Nebula barrier, there were also many strangers rushing to the city gate. Looking at the aliens who had solved the first batch of Nebula barriers in front of them. Simply furious. The canthus of the eyes is about to burst. That's too much. Brothers, fight to the death. Kill, kill, kill. Every sentence of killing words soared into the sky. They stared at the one-eyed dragons in front of them, and were about to step forward. The next moment, a sonic boom sounded from behind. Then look back. I saw a dark shadow coming quickly. Then a sudden stop. Come behind everyone. Get out of the way. Zhou Weiwei on Xiao Haizi's back has been beaten to pieces. She is not a stranger. How could she withstand such torture? This is simply much more cruel than Yi Yunyi's torment. Then, she rode Xiao Haizi slowly out of the city gate. The leader of the one-eyed dragon looked at this scene. He was also stunned for a moment. Everyone else was also stunned. What the hell kind of scene is this? A beautiful woman came out riding a dog. This picture is too funny. Here, Zhou Weiwei also looked ahead and found that it was not the beast tide she had imagined. But looking at the looks of these people and the corpses in front of them, Zhou Weiwei understood. You guys can't get in today. Zhou Weiwei stared at them and said. Ha ha ha. The one-eyed dragon laughed. Girl, are you stupid? How dare you talk like this while riding a stupid dog? Wait for a while, I'll give you a nice treat. When I use my 18 moves, your soul will go to heaven. After saying every word, Zhou Weiwei was also furious. Now she got off the dog. The next moment, his feet softened, he staggered, and he sat down on the ground. Everyone behind her. This. They also recognized Zhou Weiwei as the wife of City Lord Yi, but this person was not a stranger in their minds. The one-eyed dragon opposite looked at it and laughed even more. This chick. Say the cruelest words and do the most cowardly things. Kneel down when you come up. He was just about to speak when he saw Zhou Weiwei staring at him angrily, then pointing her finger. Said viciously, Little Haizi, superior, superior. On what? Relying on this stupid dog. What do you want to do? What can you do? The one-eyed dragon's patience also disappeared, and he was ready to command everyone to come forward. Be prepared to fight quickly. After all, there are barriers to entry, but there are a lot of resources. But, the next moment, just saw the black dog flash. Then, he appeared 5 meters in front of him. Then, Xiao Haizi soared into the sky. Open your bloody mouth. The teeth in his mouth were glowing with cold light. Bite straight at the one-eyed dragon in front of you. Poof! A sound of broken flesh and blood sounded. The one-eyed dragon felt severe pain and was stunned for a moment. He fell off his mount. Fall to the ground. It felt like the black dog was biting his neck like crazy. Blood. Can't stop gushing. Then the next moment. Hiss. A terrifying sound sounded. Everyone watched. I saw an unforgettable scene in my life. I saw the one-eyed dragon's neck being torn off. This. Everyone in the city watched. They all opened their mouths. Senseless. This. What kind of fighting power is it? Unexpectedly, City Lord Yi had a backup plan. Although he, Bai Jixi and Kai Yanhu are gone. But there is such a powerful trump card in the city. As expected of the Lord of Yi City. Even the dog at home is so strong. Everyone behind the one-eyed dragon looked at it with their eyes wide open. They couldn't believe what they saw. Fear, horrible, a moment, all the bandits looked panicked. After all, this one-eyed dragon is their third boss. The strength is about to reach the gold level. But it was just a face-to-face encounter, and he was solved by this black dog. Next moment, they saw the most terrifying scene in their lives. The black dog raised his eyes at this time and looked at them, his mouth still open with the flesh and blood of the third master. Call. At this moment, all the bandits looked at Xiao Haitzi. It all makes my spine feel chilly. Beads of sweat as big as peas suddenly oozed from their foreheads. Roll down. Just don't panic. Run. They are not fools. After all, the leader of this robbery mission has already been killed. The strength of this black dog is at least above the gold level. If they still want to be tough, that is simply a fantasy. Don't overestimate your capabilities. The best way now is to run quickly. They moved. But, next moment, Xiao Haitzi also moves with the wind. Poof, poof, the sounds of tearing flesh and blood sounded. Then came the screams and the heavy sound of the horse falling. The blood mist also burst out suddenly. The whole air is filled with a strong smell of blood. At the gate of the city, a group of strangers from Nebula barrier watched and couldn't help but swallow their saliva. This, at the very least, it is a gold-level beast. Fear, it's so scary. At first they looked at Xiao Haitzi's size and didn't take it seriously. But now, they looked at Xiao Haitzi with fear in their eyes. There is also reverence for strength. At this time, little Haitzi, like death coming, one jump takes away a life. One last jump, it pounced directly on the stranger's back, then opened its bloody mouth and bit directly towards the head. Bang! Next moment, flesh and blood burst, red and white are flying. All the strangers felt sick to their stomachs when they looked at it. But there was excitement in their eyes. A few breaths. Xiao Haitzi has solved all the bandits. Too strong. Lord Yi City's strange beast is so fierce. Oh my god, I underestimated it at first, it's so awesome. As expected of the Lord of Yi City, not only is the mount at the early gold level, but the pets he raises are also at the gold level. 1. The crisis is over. As cheers spread out, Yi Yunyi's status in their hearts had skyrocketed. Here, after Xiao Haitzi has dealt with all the bandits, he slowly returned to Zhou Weiwei. Zhou Weiwei looked at Xiao Haitzi and didn't expect it to be so powerful. At that moment, he also touched Xiao Haitzi. Then he looked at the corpse in front of him. Everyone, please clean up first and don't attract strange animals. Listening to Zhou Weiwei's orders, everyone quickly followed them. After all, Zhou Weiwei is now holding Xiao Haitzi, the sword of Shangfeng. Then everyone started to pack up. The next day, after spending a day at Han Tiansheng's house, Yi Yunyi also took the Han sisters, Bai Jixi, and several beautiful girls to sit on Kai Yanyu's back. Then they headed towards the Nebula barrier. Bingshe, Bingyu, if you have time, come back and take a look. Han Tiansheng was also reluctant to let go of his two daughters. It's time to wave goodbye. Other strangers watched their daughter being taken away. There are also mixed feelings in my heart, including reluctance and other emotions. After a few people had gone away, around Han Tiansheng, the heads of several families looked at him. Haha, Brother Han, the brothers will have to rely on you in the future. Yes, Brother Han, we all had misunderstandings before. Don't take it to heart. Look, as compensation, I will give you 20 silver-level crystal nuclei. As soon as he said this, many family heads here began to pursue Han Tiansheng. Joke. What are they doing now? I am now the father-in-law of a gold-level powerhouse. This can be said that one person has achieved enlightenment and ascended to heaven. Han Tiansheng's status has simply soared. Who dares to bully this? If he told City Lord Yi, then they still have good fruits to eat. Isn't this nonsense? At that moment, the smiles on their faces became even brighter. Haha, it's easy to talk, we will all be brothers from now on. Han Tiansheng was also polite to everyone. At the same time, the other strangers who had their daughters taken away also became the center of everyone's attention. Needless to say, it goes without saying that I am very popular. Others also started promising resources. or cooperate. Those strangers are simply so enjoyable that they don't want to leave them alone. This way, Dongfang Ruiyu looked at everyone and sighed. Then looked into the distance. Thinking of Yi Yuni, she couldn't help but sigh. This guy simply has too many wives. And, how did this guy manage to keep Bai Jixi in check? She knew that Bai Jixi's temperament was similar to hers. If she hadn't been particularly outstanding in one aspect, crushing and conquering her, she wouldn't be like this little sweet wife. But this guy, how can you increase your strength if you have a group of wives and concubines every day? Don't understand. Forget it, this is none of her business. Let's think about how to collect those crystal nuclei, this is a big deal. Thinking of this, she also sighed. If you are not as strong as others, that's it, you will be ruthlessly manipulated. This way, on the road, Yi Yuni was also humming a tune. He looked back at the girls. Needless to say, Bai Jixi and the Han sisters. They are all his people, so they are not restrained at this time, looking at the surrounding scenery. As for the other little beauties, they lowered their heads, and some were even pulling out the small down of the red flame tiger. He looked reserved and shy. However, it's not a big problem. After you get married, you can relax. Then, he thought about it and started to hurry up, leading a group of beauties towards the Nebula barrier. The young beauties behind also let out low voices due to the sudden acceleration. One after another, they hugged the waist of the person in front. But, gradually, a feeling of pleasure came to my heart. The lightning speed of this golden level beast. It's just different. So cool. Half a day later, reached the Nebula barrier. The stranger at the door saw Yi Yuni and the others coming back. He also had a smile on his face, as if his backbone was back. However, Yi Yuni looked at the remaining blood stains in front of him, his face stagnant. Then his eyes darkened. Come to the city gate. Then he looked down at the other strangers and said, what's going on? City Lord, the bandits from the mighty barrier came to us and want to rob our barrier. One sentence. Yi Yuni's eyes turned cold for a moment. Murderous aura suddenly emerged, eaten the heart of a bear and the courage of a leopard. Then what? City Lord, your pet, that little black dog, is so strong that he killed these silver-level bandits and their leader in the late silver stage in an instant. One sentence made Bai Jixi stunned. What little black dog? For a moment, she thought of that little black guy in Yi Yuni's house. Is it this powerful alien beast? Instantly kill the silver level. What level of alien beast is that? At least, it's also the gold level. Thinking of this, she was stunned. I didn't expect that humble little guy to be so fierce. The Han sisters behind her were also stunned when they heard this. Their little Heitzi could kill a late-stage alien in an instant. Yi Yuni looked at them and added, don't doubt that guy, don't look at it like that, it is actually a strange beast in the early golden stage. Bai Jixi, Han sisters, then what they were crazy about before was actually an early gold beast. Then Yi Yuni looked at the stranger next to him, are there any casualties on our side? There are some, give their families some comfort. Yi Yuni said, with murderous intent concentrated in his eyes. Driving the red flame tiger, he walked towards the barrier. Go back to your home. Zhou Weiwei told him what happened. As for Bai Jixi and the Han sisters, they have already gone to see Xiao Heitzi. Yi Yuni also settled down the family and the other girls. I'm going to the mighty barrier. Yi Yuni said something, and Bai Jixi looked over immediately, I'll go with you. The city lord of mighty barrier is in the early gold stage, and he has many silver-level strangers under his command, which is difficult to deal with. Fine, Yi Yuni said firmly, and then rode away on the red flame tiger. Arriving in front of the corpses, Yi Yuni looked at the corpses of these bandits. He snorted coldly, chop off their heads and I'll take them away. After a few words, the other strangers began to move and chopped off the heads of the bandits. Then he wrapped it up and gave it to Yi Yuni. Yi Yuni was tied behind Kai Yanhu. Then asked for the direction of the mighty barrier. After leaving the city, head over there. One night, Yi Yuni didn't know how far he had traveled. The next morning, mighty barrier, many strangers are also setting off. Get your loot today. The heavy stainless steel door opened, and strangers came out one after another. They looked back at the thick barrier. Their barriers are relatively small, but they are filled with strangers, and their configurations are ridiculously high. This heavy fortress wall, the gate made of fine steel. More importantly, their barriers are strong. Not burdened by survivors who are not aliens. They take turns going out to plunder every day. Food. Resource. Woman. They feel that they are completely Lengshan heroes now. It's simply not that exciting. The fifth master, the third master seems to have been to the Nebula barrier for a long time and haven't come back. A stranger asked. What do you know? The Nebula barrier is far away from us, but the Nebula barrier is not very strong. The city lord is from the late silver stage. Third brother and the others must have finished looting yesterday, but they can't rush over before dark. Maybe they will just go there directly. Stay overnight at Nebula barrier. The jungle at night is too dangerous. Who dares to cross it? One sentence made several strangers nod. The jungle at night is better than the jungle during the day. It's many times more dangerous. With their strength, it would be impossible to cross such a long distance at night. Barriers to stay. For a moment, they also became envious. After all, after making Nebula barrier surrender yesterday, it was a wolf in the sheepfold. So many survivors. There are also foreign wives and daughters. Tisk tisk. Are you still unhappy this night? Now I just hope that they can bring back some first-hand goods that have not been used by them, so that they can be happy too. Let's go out too. As the fifth master spoke, he also led people towards the jungle. But after walking for a while, I heard heavy footsteps. Now, they are looking for fame. They were all stunned. What's this? I saw that Kai Yanhu was walking slowly in the jungle, not hiding the sound of his footsteps at all. The heavy footsteps seemed to warn the strange beasts around. Get out of here. And on the back of Kai Yanhu, there was a man sitting there. This red flame tiger. It turned out to be this man's mount. Fear. Horrible. What kind of strength should a man who can use the red flame tiger as a mount have? And, he's here now. Doesn't this mean that he walked across the forest last night? It's too scary. At the moment, they looked at the man on the tiger's back with horror. What kind of powerful man is this? Where is he going? Fifth master, I think he seems to be heading towards our barrier. The fifth master looked at Yi Yuni's direction of travel, as if it was really the case. Let's go back and tell the boss. Here, the fifth master said, also leading everyone back. Yi Yuni, who was on the tiger's back, had already noticed their presence, but was too lazy to pay attention to them. Head straight towards the mighty barrier. After a while, several people from the fifth master family entered the barrier. Close the city gate. With an order, the heavy city gate was closed. Then, the fifth master went directly to the eldest master. Boss, the fifth master comes in. I saw a middle-aged man sitting there, with several beautiful women massaging his shoulders, peeling fruits and feeding them to his mouth. What's wrong? Why are you so panicked? The boss looked at Lao Wu and scolded him. Then Lao Wu told him what he saw in the jungle. After hearing these words, the boss stood up suddenly. His eyes widened and his veins popped out. What is such a strong person doing here? Call brothers. Go to the city wall. Good. In an instant, the entire barrier began to move. After a while, the eldest master led a group of brothers up the city wall. Look into the distance. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps gradually came from a distance. Rustle. After the sound of leaves, a huge figure appeared from the jungle. It's the red flame tiger. On its back, Yi Yuni was also looking at the mighty barrier in front of him and the people on the barrier who were waiting for him. There was also a contemptuous smile on the corner of his mouth. The big boss looked at this scene and couldn't help but beat a drum in his heart. You must know that even though he is still a stranger in the early golden stage, but facing a violent beast like the red flame tiger, he didn't dare to be tough. Not to mention catching the red flame tiger as a mount. For a moment, he had a lot of thoughts in his mind, waiting until Yi Yuni approached. He thought for a moment and then opened his mouth. This lord, why did you come to our mighty barrier? It seems that we are on good terms with you, right? Listen to what the boss says. Yi Yuni raised his head. I'm here to give you something. With that said, he threw the cloth bag behind him upstairs. The cloth bag soared up. Boom, the cloth bag flew up the city wall. Fall in front of everyone. They look at these things. The boss then opened it. Then, their eyes widened as they looked at what rolled out of the cloth bag in front of them after it was opened. Awesome. It's the head of the third master. There are also the heads of other brothers who went out to rob with the third master. Hiss. At this time, the big boss was stunned. Then he looked at the head in front of him, with anger in his eyes. This person is so cruel. Just chop off the heads of Lao San and the others. And brought it here. Provocative. This is a naked provocation. In an instant, he was furious. How has he ever been so angry in so many years? When did their mighty barrier ever suffer this kind of anger? It's always them who loot other fortresses. Go kill the people in other barriers. No one has ever dared to be so arrogant and challenge their mighty barriers. But the next moment, he also woke up. The person in front of me is no ordinary alien. He is a strong man who captured the red flame tiger as a mount. This is what I can only endure. The brothers next to him were also looking at the master's face, and they were constantly guessing what the master would do next. Call. The boss suddenly raised his head. Then we walked towards the city wall. Look below. For a moment, the brothers behind were stunned. Now, is the master going to break up with this strong man? The fish is dead and the net is broken. But, the next moment. My lord, where did they offend you? These guys got out without permission. I didn't expect to meet you. A good death. A worthy death. A sentence was spoken immediately. The brother behind. Boss, can you bear it? Just tolerate it, so swallow your anger. This was the first time they saw their boss like this. Yi Yuni snorted coldly after listening to the boss's words. He really knew how to talk. Now, just say this. Abandoning pawns to protect chariots. I am the city lord of Nebula Barrier, and these guys came to rob my barrier. They killed my people, and you just want to abdicate the responsibility with just a few words. I came here to hear you say this. Are you using these words to prevaricate me? Yi Yuni's words made the master's face darken. Sir, we will compensate you. Please go back first and we will deliver it to Nebula Barrier in Japan. Stop talking and open the door. Yi Yuni roared. The headmaster looked at Yi Yuni's eyes, and his aura softened for an instant. Joke. In this world, only the strong have the right to speak now. But now he is a real weakling in front of this one. At that moment, the soft words came out. Sir, it's not that I won't open the door. I see that you are murderous. I'm afraid that if you open the door, all your brothers will be killed. Please go back first, and I will definitely compensate you later. Maybe you want to go back on your promise, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Then, Yi Yuni shouted angrily. Now, reach out and take a look. A tall battle axe suddenly appeared in Yi Yuni's hand. Everyone on the city wall saw the battle axe in Yi Yuni's hand, and the cold light reflected in their eyes, making the hairs on their bodies stand on end. My heart felt like it was being grabbed for an instant. Then, Yi Yuni stepped forward and leapt out from the red flame tiger, and then rushed towards the city gate. Come to the city gate. Yi Yuni takes the last step. Under his feet, dry hard ground, shattered in an instant. Scatter away. Then, he took advantage of the situation. Come to the city gate. Axe side. All the strength in your body. In addition, Juyu's energy suddenly burst out. The tomahawk made a piercing sonic boom in the air. It's like a bomb exploding. Then, the axe body was directly hit on the city gate. Boom. A bang. Immediately spread. In an instant, it was all flying sand and rocks. The two heavy city gates suddenly deformed. Then it collapsed. Fly towards the city. Call. Wherever the city gate passed, the strangers who didn't react were shot into pieces the moment they touched the city gate. Boom, boom, boom. The city gate suddenly rushed towards the city. I don't know how long it took to plunder before I could stop. At the city gate, it's dusty. After the smoke dissipates, one person and one tiger walked in. At this time, Yi Yuni was holding a battle axe. There was a little bit of cold light flashing on the axe blade. It's simply not too scary. At this time, the headmaster and others also came down and looked at the scene in front of them. I am also terrified. The leader also knew in his heart that today, this person came to destroy them. They won't give you any room for negotiation. At that moment, he gritted his teeth and said, Brothers, come on. Their mighty barrier encountered a tough challenge today. No solution anymore. Afterwards, the boss headed directly towards Yi Yuni. Court death. Yi Yuni watched the bandit leader dare to come forward. A flick of the foot. The body shot out like a cannonball. Whoosh. Ever heard? The next moment, he appeared in front of the boss, and an axe struck down. Everyone was shocked when they saw Yi Yuni's speed. His eyes suddenly widened and he couldn't believe what he saw. What speed? The eyes can't catch the figure at all. In an instant, he also realized that this was the gap in strength. Yi Yuni ducked and came to him. Then, he noticed Yi Yuni's battle axe whizzing down. This is coming directly towards his head. So fast. So cruel. The momentum is strong. If this is hit, I'm afraid he will become two people. In an instant, the feeling of death enveloped his whole body, and he turned slightly sideways. Next moment, poof, a sound of broken flesh and blood was heard. Blood arrows suddenly shot out. The boss's right arm was cut off directly by Yi Yuni with an axe. The boss suddenly screamed in pain. Yi Yuni turned around and kicked the boss directly in the face. The teeth suddenly cracked, flying out of the mouth. Even the headmaster's body flew backwards to the other side. At the same time, when Yi Yuni moved just now, the red flame tiger roared and headed towards the other bandits. Tiger Claw opened his hand and beat a silver-level bandit into a pulp. Then a flick, another person turned into blood mist. The battle situation suddenly became one-sided. Here, the boss dared to stand up and endured the pain that felt like a broken bone all over his body. But, the next moment, just saw Yi Yuni coming in front of him. An axe had already caught his eye. Call, a sound of wind sounded. Then, a cold light. It appeared from the back of the head's neck. A big head suddenly flew into the sky. Here, the other bandits saw this scene. At that moment, their feet were weak. Horrible, too scary. Just a few tricks. Did Yi Yuni kill the most powerful leader among them? Then what the hell did they do? What are you still struggling with? Little minions like them might not even be able to defeat the red flame tiger in front of them. Not to mention this adult. My lord, we surrender, we surrender. After a while, these bandits formed a big circle and squatted on the ground. All held their heads. There is a trembling feeling. Yi Yuni stood in the middle, and those closest to Yi Yuni were the gang leaders. Outside, this is the little guy below. On the outermost side, this is the red flame tiger wandering around. I'm here today, and I'm going to treat others the same way they are treated. Aren't you willing to kill people and rob goods? Yi Yuni said 2 words. Next to him, a bandit leader looked up at him, his voice trembling. Sir, we really don't know about this. The decision to plunder the Nebula barrier was made by the master. Then I asked the 3rd master to do it. As you know, the strongest one here is the 1st master. If we don't listen to what he says, there will be no good fruit to eat. In one sentence, everyone around him nodded. Yi Yuni didn't say a word and looked at them. Then someone answered, Sir, please spare our lives. We still have a lot of good things in the barrier. I'll give them to you. The boss has a treasure house, and there are all good things in it. I'll take you there now. Would you like to take a look first? These attracted Yi Yuni's interest. Treasure pavilion. A lot of good stuff. This sounds pretty good. Here, Yi Yuni put the axe directly on his neck. Come on, stop playing tricks. Yes. The moment the axe was placed on his neck, he felt like he was almost scared out of his wits. Although the axe did not touch his neck, but the cold light still made him feel the sting. Then, there was fear in his eyes. Because where he felt the sting, blood was already dripping from it. I'll take you there now. Then the man led Yi Yuni towards the distance. Yi Yuni turned back to look at the others. You just squat here first. Yes, sir. One voice after another sounded suddenly. Squatting all the time is better than Yi Yuni here. After all, the feeling of oppression is terrifying. Yi Yuni then left. After a while, the man took Yi Yuni to an attic. Yi Yuni looked at the attic. The attic is magnificent. Carved railings and painted buildings. It seems that this place should be a good attraction before the end of the world. After the end of the world, he was transformed by the bandit leader. Become this treasure trove. At that moment, he went in with the man. The first level, after entering. Sir, This is where the master places the crystal core, he said. He also led Yi Yuni towards the front. Yi Yuni looked ahead. There are also many crystal nuclei, all placed in glass cabinets. Yi Yuni went over and watched. They are all crystal nuclei of late silver. But it's understandable. After all, this bandit leader has the strength of the early golden stage. These crystal nuclei can be said to be the strongest for him. But this amount is quite a lot. Sir, there is also his crystal core library here. These high-grade crystal nuclei are placed outside, and the other crystal nuclei are inside. With that said, he led Yi Yuni towards a gate. This gate looks like a former bank vault. Thick walls, cumbersome locks. For a moment, the man was also in trouble. After all, their boss was looking after this thing. The key is also with him. Now that the boss is dead, who knows where he put it? Isn't this bad? Here, the man also looked at Yi Yuni secretly, ready to see if there was any displeasure on his face. However, nothing was found. The next moment, Yi Yuni walked directly forward. Then, the axe in his hand was raised. Call! A strong wind roared down. In an instant, he landed on the door in front of him. Click! A sound made the man couldn't help but hold his head. This is so scary. Then, he looked over there, his eyes widening. I couldn't believe what I saw. This is so terrifying. I saw the axe falling on the thick steel plate, just like a knife cutting tofu. Break it open directly. Then, Yi Yuni went over and grabbed the gap with both hands. Just tear it open. The men standing by were stunned, they could almost fit an egg in their mouths. Is this the strength of the strong? After entering, Yi Yuni was also stunned when he saw it. Good guy, there are quite a lot of crystal nuclei here. In front of Yi Yuni is a small mountain. They are all accumulated from the crystal nuclei of alien beasts. It's terrifying. The colors are relatively easy to identify, they are all turquoise and white and silver. They are all bronze or silver exotic beast crystal nuclei. But such a quantity is also terrifying. Sir, I will send them to you when the time comes. Yi Yuni nodded. Although the quality of this kind of thing is not good, the important thing is the quantity. Maybe if you absorb it, you can really break through the ranks and advance. Sir, let's go to the second floor and have a look. Yi Yuni followed him up. The second layer is the fur, scales, etc. of some exotic animals. And weapons made of scales, teeth and bones of alien beasts. Yi Yuni took a look and found a silver strange beast, a blue-eyed fox. Its fur is displayed here. Yi Yuni touched it. This fur is so soft. I don't know how many times more advanced than the expensive furs before the end of the world. As for others, there are quite a few. Weapons. Yi Yuni looked at it and showed no interest. After all, these weapons are simply too childish in front of his battle axe. Not comparable at all. Sir, look at this, it's a weapon made from the giant jaws of a powerful King Kong ant. Here, the man was still introducing Yi Yuni enthusiastically. The next moment, he saw Yi Yuni picking up the big jaw of the powerful Vajra ant, and then gently colliding with the battle axe. Click! With one touch, the jaws of the powerful Vajra ant were broken. Man, mist grass, is this battle axe so awesome? Sir, let's go to another level. The man spoke to Yi Yuni cautiously. Yi Yuni nodded, and the two of them went up again. This time, Yi Yuni was more successful. The third layer was full of mutated plant fruits. At this time, they are all exuding fragrance. Just don't be too charming. Yi Yuni looked at this dazzling array of exotic strains and felt so happy. Send all of these back to Nebula Barrier. That's for sure. The man answered quickly. Then he took Yi Yuni to look around on the third floor, with a smile on his face. Sir, there are good things on the fourth floor. May I take you up to have a look? Walk. Yi Yuni was confused. What good things are there on the fourth floor? Here, Yi Yuni followed the man to the fourth floor. Then, look at what is in front of you. I was stunned. That bandit leader. It's a lot of fun. You're pretty good at playing. Over here, look around. They are all beauties, but they are all in a cage. Various colors, everything you need. Here, the man next to him watched Yi Yuni looking at these women, and also introduced, Sir, the women here are all clean. They are all us. No, they robbed girls from good families. It's all a first time. That's what our boss likes. The first time is here. After being enjoyed, we can stay with him. One sentence. Yi Yuni also nodded. This bandit leader really deserves to die. The moment is facing the front. Yi Yuni looked in front of him, huh? And a blonde beauty. The beauty has long golden hair and white and delicate skin. Slim figure. It's simply not too symmetrical. What's even more valuable is that she is different from domestic beauties. She has a kind of exotic beauty that does not belong to the East. When people take one look at it, they want to conquer it. This blonde beauty. At first glance, it seems that they were active here before the apocalypse, but when the apocalypse happened, they were still survivors inside the barrier. Then he was snatched here. The man next to him, Yi Yuni, is interested in this blonde beauty. At that moment, he said fiercely, "Sir, I have always suspected that this person is a foreign spy who sneaked into this place before the end of the world. I suggest it. Send her to your house. You interrogate carefully. Non my family, its heart must be different. There must be a big secret in her." Quote. One word made Yi Yuni turn around and stare at this guy. The man was shocked when he saw Yi Yuni staring at him. He didn't understand what Yi Yuni meant by looking at him like this. Is this dissatisfaction? At that moment, he was breaking out in a cold sweat. Just don't be too nervous and frightened. Fear, it's so scary. Just when his legs were almost weak, Yi Yuni nodded and thought for a moment. What you said makes more sense. In one sentence, it was like a life-saving straw that saved the man. The man felt as if he had been given a shot of blood for a moment. Led Yi Yuni to another girl. The girl's figure is also slim. However, the uproar was extremely outstanding. "Sir, this must have been hit on the chest during the robbery. Look, it's swollen like this. I think she was sent to your house. You are very powerful. If you move your hands a little, it should be fine. It can reduce her swelling." Then, he came to a slender girl. "Sir, this one is malnourished at first glance. Please take her back out of kindness and give her more meat." Grown-ups. Grown-ups. As the man's voice continued to sound, Yi Yuni also kept nodding. This guy is also a talent. This mouth can literally tell the story of flowers. After walking around on the 4th floor, Yi Yuni couldn't help but sigh. This bandit leader, if nothing else, has really unique vision. The rest are all unique. It's so addictive. At this time, the 4th floor is almost finished. Yi Yuni came down with the man. Then he returned to the squatting crowd. Here, everyone was squatting, feeling more relaxed than ever before. When Yi Yuni was here just now, they felt like they had a heavy burden on them. Overwhelmed. Subsequently, they just saw Yi Yuni and the man coming from a distance. Oops, the pressure is coming. Yi Yuni returned here. Everyone also looked at Yi Yuni's expression. Seeing that his expression was relatively calm, I felt relieved. He immediately cast an admiring glance at the man. "Well done." Here, the man also spoke. "Sir, look, how about we pack up the things we just saw and send them to your house?" Yi Yuni listened and nodded, "Okay." But the next moment, Yi Yuni looked at the people below. Wait. In one sentence, everyone was breathless. Then they all looked up at Yi Yuni. Don't know what he is going to do. Yi Yuni looked at them. What I just saw was the bandit leader's stuff. Give all your stuff to me, and then send it to Nebula Barrier with me. Everyone, do we want it too? This is the wealth they have accumulated over the years. Are you going to hand it in now? At that moment, all of them showed expressions of pain. Pain, it hurts so much. Do you have any questions? Seeing that they didn't answer, Yi Yuni narrowed his eyes and asked. Everyone listened, and their hearts trembled. No problem, sir. No problem. Yes, we have no problem, we will go back and get it now. Dedicate everything to you. Get out, Yi Yuni said, and with an order, everyone dispersed. After a while, when a stranger looks at his own family background, he is also very heartbroken. If all this was given to Yi Yuni, wouldn't he become a pauper? How are you going to mess around after this? Immediately, I found a pit and prepared to bury some crystal cores in it. Next moment, he just felt a gust of wind coming from behind. His body froze for a moment, and then he slowly turned his head. His eyes suddenly condensed. See, a sharp axe was swung at him. Poof, Pillars of blood spurted out immediately. Then Yi Yuni threw his head to Kai Yanhu, who then swallowed it. Then, swallow the body of the bandit. After eating, there was a roar of a tiger. Spread everywhere. What if I find out who else is hiding it? My red flame tiger hasn't had enough yet. Yi Yuni roared, and the sound gradually spread throughout the barrier. The bandits also trembled when they heard this. They didn't want to become the ghosts of Qianyu. At that moment, he took out all his wealth. Gradually, huge crystal nuclei, exotic strains, exotic animal skins and other resources are accumulated in the mighty barrier. That scene can be said to be spectacular. Yi Yuni looked at how many barrier cities these guys had plundered. There are so many things. After waiting for a while, Yi Yuni asked people to pack these things up. All the carriages in the fortress are full. But there is so much more here. The rest of you, put these in bags and hike to the Nebula barrier. Ah, a bandit listened, wouldn't they become cattle? He just made a voice. Yi Yuni stood directly in front of him and held his head with one hand. Next moment, use force, bang, that sound was like squeezing a watermelon. The remaining strangers looked at Yi Yuni, and their hands and feet became agile at that moment. They know that this guy is worse to them than a butcher to a pig. After a while, a long team gathered behind the red flame tiger under Yi Yuni's crotch. Yi Yuni looked behind him with a smile on his face. Set off. Evening. Before Nebula barrier, Bai Jixi was pacing there. Look into the distance. Calculating now, Yi Yuni has been out for more than a day. Why haven't you come back yet? At that moment, she also had worry on her face. Let's go back. Bai Jixi saw that it was almost dark, and talked to Zhou Weiwei and others who were also waiting for Yi Yuni to come back. Ah, Zhou Weiwei was stunned. Don't you want to wait any longer? The deputy general next to him also added, the forest is more dangerous at night. After all, those post-apocalyptic beasts often hang out in the forest, and night can be said to be their absolute home. Many strangers on the other side also nodded. They never dared to cross the jungle at night. Not to mention crossing the barrier, I have never done it before going out to the barrier at night. After listening to the deputy general's explanation, Zhou Weiwei understood, then let's go back first. Just as they were getting ready to leave, next to Zhou Weiwei, Xiao Haixi moved his ears slightly, and then headed towards the edge of the fortress wall. Then there was a roar to the sky. Ouch! A wolf howled suddenly. Everyone was stunned and didn't know why. Zhou Weiwei also hurriedly came to Xiao Haixi's side. What's wrong? She was stunned when she saw Xiao Haixi staring at the forest in the distance. Next to Bai Jixi there were a group of girls. There are a lot of strangers here. They all came over. I was attracted by Xiao Haixi's weird behavior just now. Everyone looked at Xiao Haixi, no longer showing the contempt they had before. Joke. What's this? This is not a little black dog, but a strange beast in the early golden stage. Powerful. Especially when I saw how Xiao Haixi treated those bandit strangers, I felt even more emotional. They waited for a while and saw nothing happened. Just getting ready to leave. I saw the red flame tiger coming out of the forest. Came back. Bai Jixi looked into the distance with excitement on her face, and then she let out a low cry. Here, Zhou Weiwei and the Han sisters also had smiles on their faces. The strangers looked at Yi Yuni and gasped, what a guy. This, Lord Yi City is back. What does it mean? Already taking revenge? Or what happened? For a moment, all kinds of thoughts filled their heads. But the next moment, their eyes widened and they couldn't believe what they saw. What is following City Lord Yi? Everyone on the city wall was staring closely at the team behind Yi Yuni. That is, carriage, and it feels extremely heavy. The amount of dirt pressed into the wheels is really quite large. What is this? After a stranger was stunned for a long time, he slowly expressed the shock in his heart. However, no one paid any attention to this sentence. It's not that they don't want to, it's that they don't know what it is. Then, a terrifying idea appeared in their minds. Could this be a resource for the mighty barrier? As the carriage queue grew longer, this idea became more and more firm in their minds. It looks like it is. But, what they don't understand is, how long is this team? After a queue of hundreds of meters of carriages, a stranger on foot appeared. Everyone on the city wall looked at it. Was this finally the end of the team? But gradually, they also felt something was wrong. What the hell, why are there infantry behind? Are there strangers coming on foot? Each one of them was carrying a huge package. Of course, there is no need to say more about what is inside this. Bai Jixi looked at it and also looked at the deputy general next to her. Go and notify the strangers in the city and ask them to come and help. Okay. The deputy general also quickly pulled out of the shock to carry out the orders of Bai Jixi. After a while, Bai Jixi led all the strangers in the city to the city gate. Looking at Yi Yuni grinned, I'm back. Then he led the people behind him into the Nebula barrier. Okay, let's start sorting and unloading. Yi Yuni gave the order, and the strangers here also started to get busy. Although they were exhausted after walking for such a long time, they did not dare to complain in front of Yi Yuni. Unless you don't want to live anymore. Here, the strangers in the city also began to organize themselves together. After a while, several categories were sorted out. Everyone looked at this and was stunned. Not to mention anything else, it's just these mountain-like crystal nuclei. It's just scary enough. Not to mention those alien strains, weapons and so on. Here, Yi Yuni looked at the strangers in the city. Look at these weapons, armors, etc. If you need them, just take them. Yi Yuni waved his hand, he didn't need these things anyway. When the strangers in the city heard this, they were like, what a good guy. City Lord, what a big gesture. At that moment, everyone was ecstatic. Especially low-level aliens. They are not very strong, and their weapons are not very handy. Now that you have this opportunity, why not seize it quickly? Thank you, City Lord. The City Lord is simply too generous. Oh my god, there are so many weapons, I'm spoiled for choice. Word spread. The strangers in the city began to get excited and began to choose weapons and leather armors. But there was no scramble. He even started to show humility to other strangers. After all, they all know that these things are not theirs, but Yi Yuni's. They are greedy for heaven's merit, how can they still fight for it? Compared to the happiness of strangers in the city. The bandits in the mighty barrier are now standing there, their faces as sinking as water. It's like morning air. These were all stolen by them. But now they are more worried about their lives. Here, the man who introduced Yi Yuni before also came out, looked at Yi Yuni, and asked carefully, Master Yi, we are willing to follow you. We will go through fire and water for you, no matter what. Yes, Master Yi, we all admire your strength. Please let us follow you. Every sentence is passed out. Yi Yuni looked at them and waved his hands, no, you can go back. Ah, for a moment, all the bandits were stunned, and they all suspected that their ears were broken. Just now Yi Yuni said, let them go back. This, very good. For a moment, they were all ecstatic. Although the items are gone, I'm so scared. They still have the strength, so they can just plunder again after they return. At that moment, they said goodbye and ran outside quickly. As if he was afraid that Yi Yuni would change his mind at the next moment. Yi Yuni looked at the people running in the distance and smiled. How could he change his mind? Because, from the beginning to now, Yi Yuni's thoughts have been the same. The next moment, he looked at Xiao Haixi and Kai Yanhu, and gently pointed his hand in the direction of those strangers. Chapter 41. Ouch! Roar! The howling of wolves and the roar of tigers suddenly sounded. In an instant, Xiao Haixi and Kai Yanhu shot towards those strangers. The strangers in the city looked at it, and their hearts tightened. Just now they heard that Yi Yuni wanted to let these bandits go. They all want to stop it with words. After all, these bandits have done so many bad things. Letting them go can be said to be letting the tiger return to the mountain, with endless troubles. However, this was the choice made by Yi Yuni. Without Yi Yuni, how could they still be breathing now? You must obey the city lord's decision. We must watch these bandits leave. But, now I see Xiao Haixi and Kai Yanhu heading towards them. Sure enough, City Lord Yi did not let them go easily. At the same time, they are also physically tight. After all, this is a confrontation. These bandits also have some strength. Now they are desperate. If there is a counterattack, they have to stop it. Here, the bandits were rejoicing just now. But the next moment, hearing the roar of wolves and tigers behind him, a smile instantly froze on his face. They turned back. Just saw Xiao Haitzi and Kai Yanhu coming towards them at great speed. Then, I saw the red flame tiger's bloody mouth open. Poof, click. In an instant, the sound of broken flesh and broken bones was heard. It's simply not too scary. A stranger was instantly bitten off in the huge mouth of the red flame tiger. Here, Xiao Haitzi turned into a black shadow. Start traveling among the bandits. Claws out. A stroke in the air. The sound of sonic boom sounded directly. Hiss. One strike. Just tear the bandits apart. Then, there's the next one. Kill. Even a bandit reacted. The canthus of the eye is completely cracked. Yi Yuni. After treating them as laborers to transport things back, they actually started killing them. In other words, that guy had no intention of letting them go before. So cruel. A good hand can kill a donkey by removing the grinding mill, and destroy the bridge when crossing the river. For a moment, he was also furious. Roar out loud. I want to bring everyone together to form a fighting force and jointly resist Kai Yanhu and Xiao Haitzi. But, next moment, he just discovered it. It's no use at all. At this time, they had already scattered. Don't care at all. After all, we are facing two early golden beasts. Who dares to do this head on? After that, the screams were endless. There seems to be a competition between Kai Yanhu and Xiao Haitzi. Both of them are frantically robbing the remaining bandits. Boom, with the last dull sound. The last bandit's body was thrown out, and then fell heavily to the ground. That's it. All the bandits were killed by the red flame tigers. The smell of blood shrouded this area. Corpses littered the fields and rivers of blood flowed. The strangers in the city were all shocked when they saw the scene in front of them. A few breaths. These bandits were killed by two strange beasts. Powerful. It's really too strong. And Yi Yuni, the city lord and the master of these two strange beasts, is the strongest among the strong. Here, Kai Yanhu began to enjoy the delicious corpse of the alien. Click, click, click. The alien's bones were almost like fried French fries under the teeth of Qianyu. It ate happily. Then he looked at Xiao Haitzi. I found that Xiao Haitzi didn't eat it. Then, it pushed a corpse towards Xiao Haitzi. The meaning is also relatively obvious. Let Xiao Haitzi have a try. Xiao Haitzi looked at the alien corpse in front of him, and also looked at Yi Yuni. Yi Yuni walked towards them. Then he took out the god-level animal food, gave some to Xiao Haitzi, and then gave some to Kai Yanhu. Here, Xiao Haitzi was excited for a moment when he looked at the god-level animal food and started eating crazily. Kai Yanhu looked at this unknown thing and did not move. That look seemed to say, what the hell is this? Still enjoying the corpse. Yi Yuni looked at Kai Yanhu, feeling helpless at the moment. This guy simply doesn't know how to enjoy it. Wild boars don't eat fine chaff. On the other hand, Xiao Haitzi. Good guy, this one is like a domestic pig who doesn't eat chaff. After a while, Kai Yanhu saw that Xiao Haitzi was eating so deliciously. It was also a move in my heart. Then he walked towards the god-level animal food and tasted it. Next moment, its tiger eyes shrank suddenly. Then he hurriedly started eating. Gradually, Yi Yuni looked at the red flame tiger, and its hair also became thicker and longer. My body feels bigger. As for the color, it has also changed from orange to deep red. Although the level has not been improved, it is clear that the strength is strong. I have to say that this god-level animal food is really not a guarantee. Okay, everyone, help clean up and store all these supplies. Following Yi Yuni's order, everyone began to pack up. Everyone was working hard at this time and began to transport like crazy. Until a blood moon comes. Everyone just finished cleaning up. In the evening, Yi Yuni continued to put up lanterns and colorful decorations. However, this time it is even more extravagant than before. After all, I grabbed so many things. In Yi Yuni's villa, Yi Yuni selected a few of the exotic animal skin armors and moved them to the villa. The leader is the fox skin. Several girls were watching. The little hands also touched it. Not too smooth at all. I like it so much. Look at these luxurious furnishings. The strangers who attended the meeting also had shock on their faces. What is luxury? This is luxury. Good guy, I really envy Lord Yi City. If you have the strength, you can do it. Ah, aren't you talking nonsense? But look at me like this, do I have that strength? Then we can only be envious. Come on, drink and drink. Voices rang out one after another, and the strangers were also drinking. They were so happy today. They also gained a lot of weapons. Have a nice drink and dinner today. Let's go test out the new weapons tomorrow. Among them, the happiest person is Lao Zongtu. Today it's his daughter's turn. Beside him, there were many strangers toasting him, with smiles on their faces. Lao Zhong, congratulations. I'll have to rely on you from now on. Come on, Brother Zhong, I respect you. Voices sounded. After the party dispersed, Yi Yuni also entered the room holding the beauty in his arms. This time, Zhou Weiwei became shrewd. She went directly to Bai Jixi's room, and then slept with Bai Jixi. Bai Jixi, this. For a moment, she started to think back. Was her voice loud that day? Could it be that Zhou Weiwei also heard it? Thinking about it, she also felt as if she had forgotten all about it. At that time, who could remember such a thing? At the moment, I am also blushing. Sleep. The next day, Yi Yuni woke up, and then looked at the beauty next to him. The next moment, a curtain of light appeared in front of him. Congratulations to the host for successfully marrying a wife. Obtain the first level of the indestructible skill. Yi Yuni looked at the light curtain and was stunned. What is this? Is King Kong indestructible? At that moment, he felt an influx of power within his body. Then Yi Yuni made a fist and touched his muscles with his other hand. It can be called steel. Bang hard. Ha! Yi Yuni then walked out of the room, took out his battle axe, and slashed his arm. It actually made a sound similar to the collision of steel. Yi Yuni looked at the light curtain. Name: Yi Yuni. Height: 185 centimeters. Level: mid-golden stage. Skills: rapid absorption, God-level hunting skills, second stage of Juyuqi, God-level movement, first stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon: Tomahawk level 1. Props: 19 divine beast control pills. This stuff is good. This thing is an all-round enhancement. Not just the arms. Next moment, the light curtain pops up again. Congratulations to the host wife for her successful pregnancy. Get God-level alchemy skill rewards. This thing is interesting. Refining medicine. Does he understand it? Afterwards, Yi Yuni looked at the barrage's explanation of this skill. Simply put, it is refined using the crystal nuclei of alien strains and alien beasts, plus some auxiliary materials. The medicine finally obtained can have the functions of improving strength, healing, etc. But in terms of improving strength, compared to the directly used alien beast crystal nuclei, the refined medicine is not only much larger than the directly absorbed crystal nuclei. And for ordinary aliens, they don't have the quick absorption skills like Yi Yuni. The refined medicine also allows them to quickly absorb the energy in the crystal core. It's a rare good thing for them. Of course, it is also a good thing for Yi Yuni. Then, Yi Yuni gained a lot more knowledge in his mind. Prescription. There are other details. In an instant, Yi Yuni became a master of alchemy. He thought for a while, there was really no need to refine medicine for low-level alien beast crystal nuclei. Instead, you can try refining it with some middle and upper-level medicines. Here, Yi Yuni is going out. Bai Jixi watched Yi Yuni come down from upstairs in high spirits. She lowered her head and muttered to Zhou Weiwei next to her, Sister Zhou, I wonder if my husband can use yin to replenish yang. Why does he look so energetic every day when he comes down, as if he has been reborn? Zhou Weiwei. Maybe, it's true. Before she could speak, she saw Yi Yuni walking towards this side. Then he came to Bai Jixi and squeezed her waist. For a moment, Bai Jixi trembled unconsciously, then raised her head and looked at Yi Yuni, looking guilty. What bad things can you say about me? Yi Yuni looked at Bai Jixi with a half-smile on his face. Bai Jixi blushed for a moment. It's nothing. You think I can't hear you? Don't doubt it, I'll take you to try it. After Yi Yuni finished speaking, he directly carried Bai Jixi on his shoulders, and then walked upstairs. No matter how much Bai Jixi struggled, it was of no use. Afternoon. Yi Yuni came down with Bai Jixi. The others looked at the two of them with twitching mouth corners. In other words, only Sister Bai, a stranger, can have such strength and fight like this. They may have surrendered long ago. Let's go, you and I go to those resources from yesterday and pick out some things. I'll come back to experiment. Yi Yuni pulled Bai Jixi and said. When Bai Jixi heard this, she was helpless. She was so tired now, and she felt as if she had just fought a crazy battle with a powerful alien beast. However, there is nothing we can do now. I have no choice but to follow. Here, Yi Yuni and Bai Jixi were riding the wind-chasing leopard, heading towards the place where the resources were stored yesterday. After entering, Bai Jixi looked at the things inside. Although she had seen it yesterday, it was still quite shocking to see it again now. There are just too many things. Yi Yuni started wandering around according to the ideas in his mind. Then I started to select different strains and various materials. After a while, Yi Yuni picked out one. Leave it to Bai Jixi. Honey, what are these things used for? Bai Jixi looked at this thing with confusion on her face. What does it mean to put these completely unrelated things together? Yi Yuni patted her head. Refining medicine, have you ever heard of it? Listening to Yi Yuni's words, Bai Jixi's eyes widened for a moment. She couldn't believe what she heard. Refining medicine. This thing, she had actually heard of it. After the end of the world, some people also discovered that some medicines could be made by refining the mutant strains and crystal nuclei together. These drugs not only have various effects, and it can also improve your strength, speed up absorption. It can be said to be a good thing. However, in the end of the world, such things come at a huge cost. First, you need to try the combination of different strains of crystal nuclei. And all sorts of other details are needed. Examples of failure abound. Generally, alchemists can only be found in medium and large fortresses. And these alchemists are scarce resources. They are all guests of every family. Thinking about it, she wanted to persuade him, but looking at Yi Yuni's energetic look, she then remembered what happened just now. She'd better be honest and obedient. Otherwise, if she is punished like this again, she will be crippled even though she is a late-stage alien in silver. About there. After a while, Yi Yuni looked at the raw materials for several sets of prescriptions that he had selected. Just take Bai Jixi back home. Then he found the body of a powerful King Kong ant. After cutting it open, it turns into a big pot. Then comes the fight. Here, Zhou Weiwei and others saw Yi Yuni doing something in full swing. Also started asking, I'm making medicine, refining medicine. Several people were also surprised when they heard Yi Yuni's words. Then they came over like curious babies. How could they miss such a fun thing? Looking at the looks of the sisters, Bai Jixi also patted her forehead. What a waste of natural resources. What a waste. Isn't this nonsense? My husband is not an alchemist, so how could he make it in one go? She then looked at the alien strain and crystal core in her hand with reluctance. These things are considered useless. Here, she also put down her things and went back to the house. After all, she couldn't bear to see such a waste of things. After a while, Yi Yuni started refining. Zhou Weiwei and others were also watching from the side, offering small favors and so on. There is also expectation in his eyes. Several hours passed. Bai Jixi was in the room, and she was about to go down and take a look. She hadn't finished practicing at this time, and it seemed that she had failed. I still have to go down and comfort myself. But she just opened the door. There is a strange fragrance coming. It made her eyes shrink suddenly. Then he headed towards the yard crazily. At the same time, below, Zhou Weiwei and others were also watching. It smells strange. Every eye is full of curiosity. This thing, something magical. It smells so good. Yi Yuni also looked at the cauldron made of powerful diamond ants in front of him. Look at the signs inside. It's about to be a medicine. Then, here, he saw a Bazi river coming down. With a look of shock on her face, Yi Yuni opened the lid. Call. In an instant, the aroma rose. Bai Jixi looked over, her eyes widened, and she couldn't believe what she saw. Good guy, we really have medicinal mud. It's really a medicine. She looked at Yi Yuni with a look of madness in her eyes. Ah, can people really be so talented? The first time you refine medicine, it becomes a medicine. Ah, here, Yi Yuni made some medicinal paste and tasted it. The next moment, a sense of power will flow into his body. Like a rushing river. Sure enough, this medicine is much more powerful than directly absorbing the crystal core. And gentler. Here, Yi Yuni made some medicinal paste and rolled it into a big pill. Then he came to the shocked Bai Jixi and fed it into her mouth. Ooh, Gouda. Bai Jixi also swallowed it. Next moment, she felt her body tremble. Then close your eyes. After a while, Bai Jixi opened her eyes and looked at Yi Yuni in front of her, with surprise on her face. Husband, I seem to have a breakthrough. After Bai Jixi finished speaking, in order to show her strength, she then clenched her fist in the air. Boom! A sonic boom suddenly sounded. Bai Jixi was stunned. Is it the power of gold in the early stage? She was also excited at the moment. Yi Yuni didn't expect this thing to be so effective. Then he looked at the people here and saw how eager they were to try. Also helpless. Don't think about it, don't explode and die for a while. Yi Yuni looked at them, scaring them, and then pouted when he saw Zhou Weiwei and others. Come on, let's rub some pills. Yi Yuni said hello, and the other people came over and started rubbing pills. The pills were kneaded one by one under the little white hands. Here, Yi Yuni strikes while the iron is hot. I also started to refine medicine. In one day, Yi Yuni refined a lot of pot medicine. As for functionality, it has everything. Improve your strength. Healing medicine. Still got more. There are also some that can be rubbed into elixirs, they are in liquid form. All kinds, everything. Yi Yuni then walked towards the crystal core warehouse and selected all the high-level crystal cores in the crystal core warehouse. Then, absorbs quickly, paired with a bottle of the most powerful medicine. Afterwards, Yi Yuni felt a strange feeling rising in his body. It's like big rivers are constantly flowing through my body. Keep hitting the next barrier. Boom, there was a soft sound in Yi Yuni's body. He felt the power in his body and was stunned. Next, bring out the light curtain. Name, Yi Yuni. Height, 185 centimeters. Level, late golden stage. Skills, rapid absorption, god-level hunting skills, second stage of Juyu Qi, god-level movement, first stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon, tomahawk level 1. Props, 19 divine beast control pills. Gold, late stage. One more step to become an early diamond. Gold, diamonds, stars, king level. Yi Yuni thought that he had almost reached the diamond level, and he was already considered a group of strong people in the apocalypse. As the level increased, Yi Yuni looked at the crystal core library again. The crystal core here may have no effect on him. Just use it as normal. As for the medicine that did not significantly improve the strength, Yi Yuni thought about it and decided that it could be distributed. Night. Yi Yuni had a feast as usual. Lao Zongtu has become the big brother among the strangers next to him. Brother Zhang, come on, let me toast you. Let's drink. After saying this, a girl walked over next to him. It was none other than Lao Zongtu's daughter. Dad, you drink too much. The girl said, and many people next to her also looked at the girl. Then, he was stunned. They had seen Lao Zhang's daughter before, just like a little girl. But looking at it now, I have a different feeling. It seems to have a feminine flavor. Here, Lao Zongtu was smiling from ear to ear when he saw his daughter, especially when he saw what his daughter was wearing now, which could be said to be extremely noble. They are all clothes sewn together from the furs of some exotic animals. Don't miss out on the good-looking ones. Haha, okay, I listen to you, I won't drink more in the future. Lao Zhang smiled boldly and put down the wine glass in his hand. This is right. The girl came over and gave Lao Zhang a small box. Lao Zhang looked at the small box. What is this? Many people nearby also looked this way. Lao Zhang opened it. Then a strange fragrance came. It makes people feel refreshed. This looks like something good. What is this? Lao Zhang asked. My husband asked me to give it to you. He said it was a medicine he refined. Taking it should improve your strength. One sentence made Lao Zhang take a breath of air. The other strangers next to them also had their eyes widened as they listened. They couldn't believe what they heard. This is the medicine refined by Yi City Lord. Moreover, it is still the kind that can improve strength. This, for a moment, they looked at Lao Zhang with envy, jealousy and hatred in their eyes. As for hatred, they hate why they don't have a beautiful daughter. Lao Zhang here also picked up one and put it in his mouth. Then he swallowed it. After a while, Lao Zhang opened his eyes again, and a light flashed in his eyes. I seem to have broken through and entered the silver level. Ah, in one sentence, the people next to me were all confused. One drug directly transformed Lao Zhang from the late bronze stage to the early silver stage. Is it so magical? In an instant, they became even more envious. At the same time, at the banquet, other girls also gave medicine to their father. Gradually, everyone at the banquet knew about it. But, so what if you know? They can only look at it. Here, the banquet is over. Yi Yuni walked upstairs with the girl in his arms. When leaving, Yi Yuni was also thinking, tomorrow we can let the blonde beauty get married. After all, what those bandits said was right. Non my family, its heart must be different. It must be tortured well. Moreover, Yi Yuni was also curious about the difference between this blonde beauty and an oriental beauty. You can experience it, if it's really something awesome. You can also learn skills from the barbarians to control them. Thinking about it, Yi Yuni brought the girl into the room. With a tap of your foot, the door is closed. The next morning, Yi Yuni opened his eyes. Look at the girl next to you. She was still sleeping like a kitten. It seems, I was also worked hard last night. The next moment, a light curtain popped up in front of Yi Yuni. Congratulations to the host for successfully marrying a wife. Get the second stage of indestructible. Second stage, so fierce, that's okay. The next moment, a light curtain popped up again. Congratulations to the host wife for her successful pregnancy. Get 10 God level dead soldier puppet rewards. Death warrior puppet. What's this? Death soldier puppet. It is a puppet without self-awareness, it completely obeys the host's orders, and the puppet's strength is bound to the host. This thing seems to work. At the moment, Yi Yuni directly called up his own panel. Name, Yi Yuni. Height, 185 centimeters. Level, late golden stage. Skills, rapid absorption, God-level hunting skills, second stage of Juyuchi, God-level movement, second stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon, Tomahawk level 1. Props, 19 God-level alien beast control pills, 10 dead soldier puppets. After a while, Yi Yuni went down in high spirits again. Here, Bai Jixi is staring at him. Yi Yuni remembered that Bai Jixi said before that he took yin and replenished yang. Now this girl is still looking at him like this. It seems I still want to confirm. It seems that it was not confirmed that day. Now that you are in the early golden stage, can your combat power be stronger? Yi Yuni looked at Bai Jixi and asked. Bai Jixi was eating breakfast and said angrily, yes, the early gold stage is definitely much stronger than the late silver stage. Try then, Bai Jixi. Ah, what to try? Next moment. Bai Jixi finally understood. Good guy. It turns out that that's what combat power is about. In an instant, Bai Jixi's face turned red. He actually said such words in broad daylight. Zhou Weiwei looked at it with a smile on her face, and then joked, well, Sister Bai is different from us. She is a serious and powerful stranger, and her fighting power must be much stronger than us. Yi Yuni looked at them. Have you ever heard of the 3 heroes fighting Lu Bu? You can join us. Everyone here listened to Yi Yuni's words and stopped talking at the moment. What else could they say? Very dangerous. Too dangerous. Surrender. Surrender. Zhou Weiwei took the lead in surrendering. Then she looked at her belly. It was time for her to come, but her relatives didn't come as promised. She felt like she had been hit too. But it's not confirmed yet, let's wait and see. Here, Yi Yuni stopped joking with them. Go directly to the place where Xiao Haitzi stayed before. Send out the puppet. Next moment, several cloaked puppets appeared in front of him. Just like ordinary people, but they all wear cloaks and masks. Yi Yuni looked at them. Then, light screens popped up on them. Dead soldier puppet. Strength. Golden early stage. 10 golden early stage puppets. Turn around. Yi Yuni gave an order and they turned around. Then Yi Yuni's mind moved and he controlled it in his heart. They turn around again. Ha, good guy, it seems that I am really bound to him. Okay, okay. Yi Yuni asked them to distribute themselves among the barriers and observe them closely to prevent crises. At the same time, among the seaside barriers, Dongfang Ruiyu is counting the crystal nuclei obtained yesterday. Then a female stranger ran over. City Lord, we got a piece of news, she said with shock and anxiety on her face, and then handed the news in her hand to Dongfang Ruiyu. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at her with confusion. What news is this? Is it so urgent? Then, she opened it. Watch. At first, I frowned. But, gradually, shock condensed on his face. In the end, her delicate body trembled, and her face had an extremely incredible expression. What did you see? Yi Yuni, one person. Destroy the mighty barrier. Kill all those bandits. Everything was stolen. You know, there are strangers in the mighty barrier. Moreover, he is powerful and full of gangsterism. But, even so, Yi Yuni still took care of it all by himself. So, now Nebula barrier is the strongest among their small barriers. And, the current Nebula barrier has too many resources. Fear, it's so scary. No wonder Bai Jixi not only gave up her position, but also fell in love with her. How could anyone not fall in love with such a man? Well, now, I don't have to worry about the crystal core of the Nebula barrier. I'm still far away from that. Dongfang Ruiyu sighed with emotion. Now she could only pray that the people from the Exorcist Society who came to collect the crystal core would come later. At the same time, several other small barriers have received news one after another. At the moment, they were also shocked. And, it's also a blessing. After all, the mighty barrier is like a knife hanging over their heads. It could fall at any time. Now after being destroyed by Yi Yuni, they no longer have to worry about the plundering of mighty barrier. It's simply not that exciting. This way, in Yi Yuni's villa, Yi Yuni also fed Kai Yanhu and Xiao Haitzi god-level animal food. Xiao Haitzi ate happily. The red flame tiger is also average. Now, after eating god-level animal food, it has no interest in flesh and blood. Yi Yuni looked at Kai Yanhu. Good guy, the wild boar has also begun to eat fine chaff. But I have to say it. Ever since this guy ate god-level animal food, the body is much bigger and the hair on the body is also shiny. Not too handsome at all. Eat more, eat more. Yi Yuni squatted down and joked. Eat fatter, and you can kill more meat during the Chinese New Year. One sentence made Kai Yanhu's body tremble. He raised his head and looked at Yi Yuni fearfully. But the next moment, it was stunned for a moment. Then there was a crackling sound inside the body. Then, its size grew again. The hair on the body has turned dark red. The red flame tiger looks up to the sky and roars. The tiger's roar resounded throughout the sky. Oh! Yi Yuni looked at the red flame tiger, felt its power, and was stunned. Isn't this guy's limit the golden early stage? Now, it has actually broken through to the golden stage. It seems that the effect of god-level animal food is quite obvious. Or is his scare just now more effective? No matter what, it's a good thing to advance. Okay, it just so happens that I don't have a suitable spiritual plant for refining medicine now. When you come back, you and I can go look for it in the jungle. You should know. As Yi Yuni spoke, Kai Yanhu also roared. Show understanding. Okay, in that case, I won't consider eating you during the Chinese New Year. Yi Yuni said. Then, the deputy general came in a hurry. City Lord, City Lord. Yi Yuni looked at the deputy general who came in a hurry. What's wrong? City Lord, two people, a young man and a woman, came from outside the barrier just now. They are riding late silver mounts. They said they were members of the Exorcist Society. Looking for you. I've taken them into the city, to the reception room. An exorcism. As Yi Yuni listened, he also recalled what Dongfang Ruiyu said in the seaside barrier. This exorcism meeting is here to collect the crystal core, right? Did he pay the protection fee? How interesting. Does he still have this exorcism protection? Next to her, Bai Jixi also listened, frowning deeply. She thought about what Dongfang Ruiyu said before. There are many masters in the exorcism club. Their leader is a strong man in the early diamond stage. Although she has now entered the gold level, the gap between the gold level and the diamond level is not even a tiny bit. Husband, what should I do? Bai Jixi whispered to Yi Yuni. Zhou Weiwei and others next to them also felt something was wrong and walked towards this side. Although they also know that they may not be able to help. But they also know that if something happens to their husbands, they cannot stay out of it. Yi Yuni listened to Bai Jixi's words. What to do? Just do it hard. He has now reached the golden stage. Plus God-level hunting skills. Juyu's energy. God-level movement skills. King Kong is indestructible. Even if the diamond comes in the early stage, he is not afraid. Not to mention the arrival of 2 minions. Okay, you guys have fun at home, I'll go take a look. Yi Yuni said, and then fed the red flame tiger some more god-level animal food. After all, this guy has just entered the middle golden stage and needs to eat more. Let's go. Yi Yuni looked at the lieutenant and also walked away into the distance. At the same time, on the main road of Nebula Barrier, a man and a woman were riding a late silver earth bear, walking slowly. The man looked at the scene in the Nebula Barrier and snorted. There was pride in his eyes. He looked at the survivors and aliens in the city. It's like looking at maggots. That look, don't be too disgusted. This place is far inferior to our blue and white barrier. The woman looked at this scene with disgust. Then she looked at the stranger who was leading the way. He said coldly, "Where is your city lord? Our city lord should still be on the way. I will take you two to the living room first. Our city lord should be here soon." The stranger saw that the 2 men were not friendly, so he spoke respectfully first. After all, the mounts of these 2 people are extraordinary. They were all mounts from the late silver stage. Although they were inferior to the city lords, in his opinion, they were terrifying enough. Displeasure suddenly appeared on the woman's face as she listened to the guide's words. This time they came down under the orders of the leader to collect the money. Their exorcism club is powerful, and their leader comes from outside the blue and white barrier, and is even more powerful, at the diamond level. In addition, there were rumors before. Therefore, in the several fortresses we went to before, their city lords were always waiting or rushing over. This one actually dares to do this to them. They have already announced their identity, but this guy still dares to arrive late. Have you ever taken them seriously? After listening to the stranger's words, the young man also lowered his eyes. His face was even more unhappy. Without saying a word, he walked forward. Gradually, something didn't feel right to him. He turned back sharply. But nothing was found. What's wrong, senior brother? The woman saw the young man's actions and opened her mouth to ask. The young man made sure that no one was staring at him wherever he looked. I felt like someone was staring at me from the moment I entered the barrier, but I didn't notice it. Am I being suspicious? If it's not that I'm suspicious, it's because there are powerful people at this barrier. Ha ha ha. One sentence made the woman laugh. She looked at the young man with a relaxed expression on her face. Brother, you must feel wrong. According to the news, the city lords of the fortresses we went to are all in the late silver stage. Not to mention the strength of the other aliens in their barrier. The 2 of us have the strength of the early golden stage. Do not worry. A few words made the young man nod. Indeed, however, this barrier made him very unhappy. After a while, we can increase the number of crystal cores called for. People who are ignorant of human affairs must pay the price. After arriving at the living room, the stranger arranged for the 2 of them to sit down. Then it was time to prepare the tea. Do not move. The young man said that the stranger was looking at the stranger who was about to pour them tea. Stop drinking. Wait for your city lord to come and pour it for us. The stranger frowned and then withdrew. It seems that these 2 people are coming with bad intentions. And the spectrum is so big. Not too angry either. Who messed with them? He will have to talk to the city lord later. He exits, waiting far away in the living room. After a while, just saw Yi Yuni and the deputy general coming over. At this time, Yi Yuni was walking leisurely. When the stranger saw Yi Yuni, he quickly stepped forward. Then he told Yi Yuni about the situation just now. The deputy general here was filled with anger as he listened. What a big spectrum. Here, Yi Yuni also snorted, I know. After saying these words, Yi Yuni headed forward. Enter the living room. Yi Yuni looked at the 2 of them. He looked at the woman, who was dressed in a fancy dress, and looked around with a look of disgust. It seems that he despises everything here, and feels extremely misophobic. At this time, she looked at Yi Yuni and was also stunned. Perhaps he didn't expect that the city lord of Nebula Barrier would be so young. But then, the pride on his face returned to before. As for the other side, Yi Yuni also looked at the young man sitting there. At this time, the young man was closing his eyes and concentrating, and Dalala was sitting there. Even when Yi Yuni entered the living room, he didn't even open his eyes. The posture is not ordinary. At this time, his fingers lightly touched the table, which made people pay attention. Next to his finger was an empty teacup. The teapot is placed not far away. This meaning should not be too obvious. This is asking Yi Yuni to pour him tea. Seeing this, Yi Yuni slowly walked up to him. Pick up the teacup. Snort. When the young man heard Yi Yuni pick up the teacup, he smiled slightly and made an undetectable snort. But then, he just didn't hear the sound of tea being poured. But I heard Yi Yuni's footsteps walking away. In an instant, he opened his eyes. Stare at Yi Yuni. I saw that Yi Yuni had already sat down at this time. Dalala is sitting there. Didn't even look at the two of them. Rather, hold your own cup and pour yourself some tea. Then take a sip. He looked like he was enjoying himself very much. For a moment, the young man's eyes widened and he couldn't believe what he saw. This guy, it's up to one's own discretion. Don't even pour him tea. Does this still put him in your eyes? Have you taken their exorcism meetings seriously? Did you take their leader into consideration? It's the opposite. At the same time, the woman was watching this scene and her heart was filled with anger. Court death. After Yi Yuni took a sip, he put down the teacup. Then he looked at the two of them and said, "Why did you come to my Nebula barrier?" The young man listened and then threw a piece of paper directly towards Yi Yuni. Yi Yuni took it and opened it. Look at the contents. For a moment, his eyes narrowed. What was on the paper was the number of crystal nuclei they had called for. There are hundreds of silver-level crystal nuclei alone. There are also quite a few bronze ones below. For a small barrier, the number of crystal nuclei can be said to be huge. We are going to empty out the wealth of small-walled companies. The young man looked at Yi Yuni and said, on this basis, the number of crystal nuclei handed over by your barrier will increase by 20%. In 5 days, hand it over to the exorcism meeting. One word, decisive. There was no room for resistance in the tone. Let women all look towards young men. It seems that senior brother is really angry. It actually increased by 20% on the original basis. Now I feel better with this guy. This is the price he needs to pay for his neglect. If he dares to fail, then it will be according to the rules of their exorcism club. There is no need to exist in this world. Yi Yuni listened to the young man's words, then folded the paper and placed it on the table. What if I don't pay? One word. Both the young man and the woman were stunned. Then he looked at Yi Yuni, in disbelief. This guy. What did you just say? How dare he refute? They didn't just come to Nebula Barrier to build a barrier, they had been to other places before. The city lords of other fortresses are all respectful to them. And, make sure to hand it in on time. This one is naturally rebellious, right? The young man immediately slammed the table. Strength suddenly emerged. Boom. A bang. The table exploded. The sawdust shattered in all directions. He looked at Yi Yuni. You are seeking death. Do you dare to refute my request for a 20% increase? One word. It's so fierce. At this time, the young man was like a furious lion. Looking at Yi Yuni, he wanted to eat him alive. The woman opposite also made fists with her hands, and murderous intent gradually gathered in her eyes. As for Yi Yuni, he didn't blink even amidst the explosion of the table just now. At this time, he looked at the two people leisurely. No, you misunderstood. Misunderstand. Hearing Yi Yuni's words, the young man snorted coldly. It's really a penalty for not eating the toast. Seeing him smashing the table with his palm just now, and knowing his strength, I knew to change my tune quickly. If only I had been honest before. Save him from being angry. However, it is impossible without a price. The float increased from 20% to 40%. The young man was talking, but he hadn't finished speaking yet. Yi Yuni interrupted, what I mean is that I don't even hand over this. Saying that, Yi Yuni tore the note in his hand directly. Then folded up, tear apart again. Then, he threw it into the air like a piece of waste paper. Seeing Yi Yuni's movements, the two young men were stunned for a moment. But the next moment, Their eyes are reunited. Anger rose in his eyes. You wanna die. The young man was furious. One step. The ground on the ground suddenly collapsed. He was also heading towards Yi Yuni like a cannonball. Call. The sound of breaking wind suddenly came. Come to Yi Yuni. Make a fist with one hand. A punch mixed with anger. Rush out hard. Stab. A harsh sonic boom sounded. Right punching. But the next moment, his punch was in vain. Hit the air. Where is Yi Yuni? Just when the young man looked at the empty space in front of him and wondered. Behind him, a voice suddenly sounded. You are too slow. The young man turned around suddenly, the next moment. Just saw a slap towards his face. That feeling, it was like a roaring train hitting his head. Next moment, he was confused. Then the whole person lifted off the ground, flying backwards to the side and behind. At this time, outside, the deputy general and the foreigner heard the explosion of the table being smashed to pieces. My heart suddenly tightened. Do you know where those two people came from? The deputy general asked the stranger. After all, she later went to inform Yi Yuni that it was this stranger who brought them here. The foreigner thought for a while. I heard what they meant. They seemed to be powerful. They came to the small barrier below to collect the crystal core. And they seemed to be very dissatisfied with Lord Yi. Swearing all the way. Powerful. Very dissatisfied. Now, there is such a bursting sound inside again. Could it be that a 2-on-1 fight has already started inside? City Lord Yi, has he been beaten? At that moment, the deputy general's mouth twitched. After all, Yi Yuni saved Nebula from fire and water several times. His prestige among strangers in the city is extremely high. How could they sit back and do nothing? Even if I die, I can't watch the city lord be humiliated. Let's go. Go help. The lieutenant understood what he said and followed him towards the living room. But, next moment, boom, a huge explosion broke out in the living room. Then I saw a figure like a cannonball being discharged, flying upside down from the living room. No one else. It was the young man from before. In the shocked eyes of the two lieutenants, bloody arrows spurted out of his mouth. Then, after flying more than 10 meters, he landed. Wiped the ground, flying dozens of meters again. It's time to stop. A moment, both the deputy general and the foreigner had their eyes widened. They couldn't believe what they saw. What happened? They looked at the young man in the distance. After the young man stopped, he grabbed the ground with his head. Then he slowly stood up. At this time, his face was as swollen as a pig's head. There is blood gushing out from the mouth and nose. The eyes were also red and bloodshot at this time. Next moment, they just felt a flash in front of them. A black shadow rushed in front of them. It's Yi Yuni. A dodge. Yi Yuni came to the young man. Then a punch came out. Exactly the same as before the youth. Watch the fist coming. The young man's eyes were cracked. How dare you? With a roar, Yi Yuni's fist fell on the young man's head. Next moment, the young man's head undergoes violent deformation. Then, explode. Bang. The red and white things spread across the place in an instant. The air is also filled with a strong smell of blood. For a moment, both the deputy general and the stranger's eyes widened, and they couldn't believe what they saw. City Lord, it's simply too cruel. Just punch the young man in the head. Boom. After a dull sound, the young man's body fell directly to the ground. Completely lifeless. At the same time, the woman in the living room also came out, ready to help. Then, I saw the bloody scene just now. At this time, she was stunned there, not knowing what to do. Next moment, she just watched Yi Yuni slowly turn around. Stare at her. One look made her tremble all over, like chaff. Run. This idea suddenly appeared in her mind. She just rushed out a few steps. It was a dark shadow blocking her face. It was none other than Yi Yuni. At this time, Yi Yuni was standing in front of the woman. The woman's feet softened and she fell to her knees. Spare your lives, it was our leader who asked us to come down and collect the crystal core. This wasn't my idea. Listening to the woman's words, recalling her arrogant look just now, Yi Yuni also snorted coldly. This cold snort pierced into the woman's heart like an ice pick. She looked at Yi Yuni. The decision was made in my heart at that moment. As long as you spare me, I can do anything for you. I can be a cow or a horse. I can follow you. I can. Before she could finish her words, Yi Yuni grabbed her by the neck and lifted her up. The next moment, in her frightened eyes, click, a sound of broken bones. Yi Yuni directly pinched her neck. Then he threw her aside. Look how you look, Yi Yuni complained. That's all if you look good. And, the front is not convex and the back is not curved, Xiao Xiao is ridiculous to. What's the point of keeping you? Beside, Lieutenant General. Stranger. Ah, this. Now I know it. Here, Lord Yi. Turn out to be. Ugliness is the original sin. You guys clean up this place. Yi Yuni explained, and both the Deputy General and the foreigner nodded. Wait until Yi Yuni leaves. The two began to pack up. Looking at the bodies of these two people, Yiren was also shocked. These two people should be in the early golden stage. He was killed instantly by City Lord Yi. Too strong. The Deputy General also nodded. Here, Yi Yuni returned to the villa. Husband, you're back, how are you? It's all solved. Listening to Bai Jixi's inquiry, Yi Yuni also said. It'll be fine if it's solved. Bai Jixi nodded. But, maybe she didn't think of it. What Yi Yuni said may not have solved the problem. But to solve the problem. After a while, Yi Yuni looked at Kai Yanhu. Then looked at the remaining alien strains. Instead, you can go to the jungle and find some different strains. Husey, do you know where those strange plants are in the jungle? Speaking of the alien strain, a heartbroken expression suddenly flashed in Kai Yanhu's eyes. After all, he had guarded the previous mutated dragon fruit for a long time. At that moment, it nodded. Okay, let's go to the jungle. Here, Yi Yuni made a plan. Here, Han Bingyu and Han Bingshe heard this and looked at Yi Yuni. Husband, can we go to the jungle with you? Okay, Yi Yuni did not refuse. After all, he was not afraid now. Listening, the two of them were smiling like flowers, with joy on their faces. Han Bingshe ran directly towards Yi Yuni. Hubby, I'll sit in front of you. She ran towards Yi Yuni. But the next moment, just being held by someone's hand, Han Bingshe turned her head and looked at Han Bingyu. She saw a harmless smile on Han Bingyu's face. Sister, I also want to sit in front of my husband, give me a chance. Han Bingshe, want to grab this too. But she also thought that it was still very comfortable to have Yi Yuni around her waist. Han Bingyu looked at her sister and said with a smile, Sister, how about we compete? Whoever wins will sit in the front. Saying that, Han Bingyu also waved her hand generously. You have the final say about the competition. Okay. Next moment, she just came to Han Bingyu's side and raised her head and chest high. Then he said, how is it? Han Bingyu. What are you doing? What are you comparing? Yi Yuni looked at this side, also confused, and then suddenly realized. Good guy. It's true that tolerance is great. Come, sit with me. Call. In an instant, Han Bingyu suddenly understood. So, is this the competition? Look at my sister's uproar. She is also helpless, although she is not young either. But I can say that small branches bear fruit. How to compare? Han Bingshe. Ah, tolerance is a virtue. She was confused at the moment, and then she understood. No, I'm not trying to compete with that. I want to compare my height. It's the height. Then, she looked at Zhou Weiwei and others. I saw a smile on Zhou Weiwei's face, and then gave her a thumbs up. Han Bingshe. Forget it, forget it. As long as you can be with your husband. Afterwards, everyone got on the red flame tiger. Here, Yi Yuni also made arrangements. We need to take the strangers in the city deep into the jungle. In an instant, the entire Nebula barrier was boiling. After a while, every stranger is ready. Line up in the city. There is excitement on his face. After all, this is the first time City Lord Yi takes them out. Later, Yi Yuni came riding on the red flame tiger. Look at them. A big wave of your hand. Set off. Out of the barrier, the red flame tiger is like a fish entering the sea. Take a dip. According to the previous memory, after a while, it came to the territory of its former rival, an amethyst crocodile. Behind, the strangers were also looking at this place. I remember, there was an amethyst crocodile here. That's a strange beast in the early golden stage. And he's extremely good at lurking and camouflaging. Words came out. Yi Yuni also looked ahead. Then I saw a different strain. It's a bunch of mutated grapes. Those grapes are almost the same as those before the end of the world. However, it is covered with purple crystals. Don't be too dazzling. Yi Yuni looked at it, stepped forward, and headed towards the grapes. The moment the grapes are picked, ouch, a beast roar sounded immediately. Among the thick fallen leaves below, a huge crocodile suddenly burst out. It's like a grape wrapped in a little amethyst. You can't fly too fast from below. He opened his bloody mouth and rushed towards Yi Yuni. Everyone looked at it and was shocked. Not good. But, next moment, Yi Yuni turned around and kicked out. Boom, one kick directly on the jaw of the amethyst crocodile. Call, boom boom boom. The amethyst crocodile immediately flew out with the sound of violent breaking wind. I don't know how many giant trees I smashed along the way. The amethyst crocodile finally fell into a big tree and stopped. However, the amethysts on his body were all broken. There is no breath of life. Zhou Weiwei, Han sisters. Bai Jixi, other sisters. Ah, husband, are you so fierce? Come up and kill him instantly with just one move. So, is it conservative to fight with your husband every night? At that moment, Zhou Weiwei and the others also took a deep breath. They will not dare to talk nonsense in the future. In this case, except for Sister Bai who can still bear it, they really can't bear it. Then, they looked at Bai Jixi. Bai Jixi looked at them as if she knew what they were thinking. It was numb immediately. She can't bear it either. She is about the same strength as the amethyst crocodile just now. It's not like you didn't see the result of this amethyst crocodile just now. One move and he was solved. At most, she could withstand Yi Yuni's 18 moves. Just surrender. At this time, the eyes of the strangers next to them were also widened, and they couldn't believe what they saw. This was the first time they saw Yi Yuni fighting like this. Brutal. It's so cruel. Seeing this situation, the deputy general also led a few strangers towards the amethyst crocodile in the distance. After a while, several strangers also came over. Seeing the amethyst crocodile in this state, they took a lot of effort to dig it out of the tree. Then he carried it over. This lift doesn't matter, the whole crocodile is weak and boneless. It seemed like all the bones in his body had been smashed to pieces. The stranger here brought the crocodile over. Kai Yanhu looked at the amethyst crocodile and immediately grinned. Looks like you are succeeding. However, then a painful memory appeared in its mind. At the beginning, it was also beaten violently by Yi Yuni. Walk, let's go. Yi Yuni patted Kai Yanhu on the back, and then Kai Yanhu headed forward. At this time, figures emerged among the red flame tigers. An old rival, 2 old rivals, 3 old rivals. At this time, Kai Yanhu had some intention of avenging private revenge, and led Yi Yuni towards the old opponents with whom he had conflicts before. On the contrary, Yi Yuni also gained a lot. In a short period of time, the strangers behind had already carried many corpses. And he also picked many different strains. After all, most of these strange beasts are in the early golden stage. The previous mighty barrier did not have the strength to pick such exotic strains. Most of them are relatively low level. It feels better now. Later, it's also more fun to be a different person. It turns out that following Yi City Lord out is so exciting. It's not just these powerful beasts. There are silver level beasts along the way. After Yi Yuni saw it, he flicked the stone with his finger, and the stone flew away. Kill the alien beasts directly. They only need to be responsible for picking up those strange beasts. It's that simple. After there is a specific division of labor. The speed is getting faster and faster. In just a few hours, a lot has been harvested, and it is almost full. Here, Yi Yuni looked at the time and was ready to go back. Yi Yuni asked them to take a rest and prepare to go back. Next moment, Yi Yuni just looked in front of him. Startled, a bloody handprint appeared on a tree trunk not far away. There are also splatters of blood on the ground. Is someone injured? Yi Yuni stepped forward and headed that way. Look, the bloody handprints and blood stains are moving towards the distance. Here, Yi Yuni just followed the traces. After a while, far away, a figure rested against a big tree. This man is wearing a cloak and black clothes. On his right arm, there is a huge animal tooth, even bigger than the teeth of the red flame tiger. And, There is still a little bit of black light on the teeth. It looks like it's poisonous at first glance. This man was leaning against a big tree, wearing a large mouth and wearing rough clothes. His eyes started to blur. Here, just when she was about to close her eyes and rest for a while. Then he saw a face coming towards him, looking at her. The man in black suddenly became energetic. I was shocked. Here, Yi Yuni also looked at this person's reaction and was stunned for a moment. Then he looked at the animal teeth on her right arm and was stunned. Good guy, you were bitten by a strange beast. What are you doing? A female voice suddenly came out. Is it a woman? Here, Yi Yuni was looking at her, curious about what she looked like under the mask. But then, Yi Yuni curled his lips, maybe it didn't look good either. After all, if it looks good, who would cover their face all day long? When the girl saw that Yi Yuni didn't speak to her, do you have any medicine? I can buy it, said. The girl also took out a small bag and took out one of the crystal nuclei. Yi Yuni looked at it, haha. Good guy. Golden crystal core. Gold level crystal core. This shot is a crystal core of this level. Quite rich. There is medicine. With that said, Yi Yuni took it from her hand. Then she stared at her bag. There seemed to be crystal nuclei in the bag. You can give it to me. Ah, before the girl could finish her sentence, she just shouted. My whole body was twitching in pain. Rolling on the ground. What are you doing? The girl looked at Yi Yuni, and then looked at the animal tooth he had just pulled out. I'm speechless. If you want to pull it out, say hello in advance. Don't pull it out without saying a word. She recovered. Then he looked at Yi Yuni, thinking that he was also weak, and immediately surrendered. You, please continue to help me. Yi Yuni then grabbed it with his backhand and took out a bottle of medicinal wine from the system space. Then he was ready to apply it on her arm. Wait, is this useful? The girl asked timidly. Don't worry, I can lie to you. It doesn't work, it doesn't cost money. Yi Yuni still speaks of the most basic integrity. Good. Yi Yuni then opened the medicinal wine, and in an instant, the smell of the medicinal wine reverberated. There was a strong smell of alcohol in this smell. The girl also became numb for a moment. Here, the girl looked at the medicinal wine, thinking about her fear just now. I'm afraid this might be a little painful. Yi Yuni waved his hand and said impatiently, this doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Listening to Yi Yuni's words, the girl also nodded, and he said it didn't hurt. Moreover, she is now desperate. Treat a dead horse as a living horse, doctor. Bring it on. She gave Yi Yuni a look. Yi Yuni nodded. Then he poured the medicinal wine along the wound. Ah, a moment. The girl felt a pain that touched her skin and penetrated deeper into her soul. She almost cursed. What's this? Ah, Yi Yuni looked at the degree of her frown and that look in her eyes. I felt the same way for a moment. He looked at the medicinal wine. Confirmed. This, he will be included in the list of banned drugs. Never use it again. Here, the girl looked at Yi Yuni and suddenly became angry. Doesn't this hurt? Doesn't it hurt? Whether it's flesh or soul, it's all severe pain, okay. You call this painless? Then your conscience won't hurt. For a moment, the girl's heart was filled with 10,000 MMP thoughts. She also looked at Yi Yuni. You liar, didn't you say it doesn't hurt? It's like this at the beginning, but you'll get used to it later. Yi Yuni's face relaxed. It hurts now, but it will feel better later. For a moment, the girl felt that something was wrong with this sentence. But now she was in severe pain and couldn't feel anything was wrong. Is this good? The girl looked at Yi Yuni and asked. That's not true. Here's some medicinal powder. Yi Yuni turned over his hand and took out the medicinal powder. Okay, you go ahead. The girl said and saw Yi Yuni stretching out his hand. Rub your thumb and index finger together. The girl's eyes widened. What are you doing? I bought medicinal wine for the crystal core just now, and now I need another crystal core for this one. Are you raising the price while sitting on the floor? The girl suddenly said. Yi Yuni suddenly said a curse word. You think I'm a charlatan? I have some moral integrity, okay. I made this powder myself. Fused with the crystal core of late-stage silver-stage alien beasts. There are also alien strains. Add my detailed operations and cook. Girl, okay, stop talking, I'll give it to you. the girl said, and then took out a crystal core again. Another golden level crystal core. Huh, not bad, not bad, it really does exist. Yi Yuni was ready to pour the medicinal powder on her. Pour in the powder, add a bandage, and you're done. Etc. Seeing Yi Yuni's movements, the girl stopped him instantly. Tell me the truth, does this powder hurt after you sprinkle it on it? After all, those 2 blows just now really scared her. No pain, Yi Yuni said firmly. Then he grabbed the girl's arm. As the girl struggled, she revealed the butterfly birthmark on her wrist. Yi Yuni looked at it, surprised. There are other people with such a shape of mark. Thinking about this, he sprinkled the powder on without stopping his hand. Ah! The next second, the girl hit her head directly against the big tree. There was also a wailing sound coming from the mouth. She looked at Yi Yuni, and her heart suddenly became angry. You $% carrot. But the girl also knew that she was extremely weak now and could only speak in her heart. Here, she was also thinking, how could this thing hurt so much? This guy, isn't he a quack? Why didn't she get cured and just take her away? Thinking of these possibilities, the girl also looked at Yi Yuni, with a desire to tear him to pieces. Yi Yuni looked at the girl's expression. Okay, this medicine. It has also become a banned drug. Isn't this an appropriate punishment? Yi Yuni then tore off a piece of the girl's clothes, used it as gauze, and wrapped it up. He was too lazy to listen to girls calling. Earn this money. Well, these days, money is hard to make and shit is hard to eat. Go quickly. After finishing it, Yi Yuni also left. The girls here were also sweating profusely, looking at Yi Yuni walking away. I was also scolded in my heart. However, after cursing in my heart for a while, I ran out of energy. Coupled with the pain, I fainted. Here, Yi Yuni also returned to the team. Zhou Weiwei saw Yi Yuni leaving just now. Hubby, what did you do just now? I went to get 2 crystal nuclei and came back. Then, Yi Yuni opened his hand, and 2 gold-level crystal nuclei suddenly appeared in his hand. Everyone, hiss. This is gold-level crystal core. Is this something you just do as you say? Ah, where did this come from? How did it happen? At the moment, they are indeed helpless. This is too fierce. Let's go back. Following Yi Yuni's order, everyone here set off. Go home. A few hours later. This way. The girls also woke up slowly. Then I felt relaxed. She took off her mask, which was already wet with sweat. Under the mask, there is a face that will captivate a country. Willow eyebrows, cherry mouth, and jade-like skin. Plus exquisite facial features. It's simply something you can watch from a distance but not play with. She felt the condition of her body, and her poison was cured. At that moment, she also untied the bandage Yi Yuni had made for her. Look at the arm that has been smoothed inside and restored to its original state. At that moment, her eyes were widened and she couldn't believe what she saw. His medicine actually has such an effect. At that moment, she also understood that this guy was no ordinary person. He must be an alchemist. No wonder you dare to ask for such a price. It turns out that he has such ability. If such talents can be brought back to the organization, it's also a great achievement. But now, as soon as she fainted, she wouldn't have this chance. Moreover, she is still in crisis. Move, the girl thought, and then felt that she had regained some strength. Just a little bit under your feet and flew directly into the distance. This way, Yi Yuni and everyone also returned to the Nebula barrier. Everyone starts sorting. The high-level crystal nuclei were all taken away by Yi Yuni. As for the low-level ones, Yi Yuni let everyone divide them. All the strangers were also excited. After all, this can be said to be a huge gain for them. After Yi Yuni sorted out the different strains, I discovered that I can actually make a medicine that can heal me quickly. The ingredients for this medicine have been gathered. This is good. It can be used in the week period after Juyu Jinki. At that moment, Yi Yuni started refining. A few hours later, 1 pot of medicine is ready. The whole villa is also filled with medicinal fragrance. Yi Yun listened, his face full of enjoyment. Then, he started rubbing pills. After Yi Yuni and the others rubbed pills, many strangers also came. After all, the necessary programs every night are still the same. After they arrived here, they smelled the medicinal fragrance in the air. He was stunned for a moment, sniffing constantly with a look of enjoyment on his face. City Lord Yi, what are you doing? It actually has such an effect. However, they also know that these things are not what they should ask. Now it's time to sit down and prepare to attend the banquet. Yi Yuni is also preparing for the wedding in the evening. Tonight, he's about to marry a blonde beauty. After the banquet, Yi Yuni just looked at the blonde beauty and carried her into the room. After entering the room, I listened to her broken Chinese. Yi Yuni also said at the moment, just speak your native language, I like it authentic. After all, it's still the same sentence. Oh, yes. Quite authentic. Then, the lights were turned off. The next morning, Yi Yuni just got up and looked at the blonde beauty next to him. Then I was thinking about the pure foreign language last night. Now he finally knows the difference between this foreign beauty and an oriental beauty. Each has its own characteristics. However, it's a nice change of flavor. Subsequently, Yi Yuni went downstairs in high spirits. Then, a ray of light popped out, appeared in front of Yi Yuni. Congratulations to the host for successfully marrying a wife. Obtain 20% of the progress of level breaking card creation. Level breaking card creation progress. Yi Yuni looked at it and was also moved. He is now in the late golden stage. If you break the level again, that is the early stage of diamond. At this progress, I am afraid that if I marry a few more, I can bring the construction progress to 100%. The future is promising. Congratulations to the host wife for her successful pregnancy. Obtain 10 bottles of pure liquid from the blood of divine beasts as a reward. Yi Yuni looked at this thing, pure blood essence of a god-level alien beast. He thought that Xiao Haitzi was of pure blood. It doesn't need this thing, but Qianyu may need it. Later, Yi Yuni pulled up his information. Name, Yi Yuni. Height, 185 centimeters. Level, late golden stage. Skills, rapid absorption, god-level hunting skills, second stage of Juyu Qi, god-level movement, second stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon, Tomahawk level 1. Props, 19 god-level alien beast control pills, 10 dead soldier puppets, 10 bottles of god-level alien beast blood essence liquid reward, 20% progress in creating level-breaking cards. This way, Yi Yuni walked out. Under, Zhou Weiwei and the others were feeding Kai Yanhu and Xiao Haitzi god-level animal food. Two guys were eating like crazy. Kai Yanhu also interacted with Zhou Weiwei and the others with a friendly look on his face. It knew that they were the wives of its master. My own mistress. How dare you not please me? Are you still alive? Seeing Yi Yuni coming over, Kai Yanhu immediately lowered his head, looking obedient. Give you a good one. Yi Yuni came to Kai Yanhu, then took out the pure blood essence liquid and injected it directly into Kai Yanhu's body with his backhand. Ouch! In an instant, Qianyu was also in pain. Although it didn't know what Yi Yuni was doing to him. But it didn't dare to struggle. Gradually, its tiger eyes condensed. The entire hair changed again, turning red. When the wind blows, it seems like a flame is burning. Kai Yanhu felt the feeling inside his body. This feeling is unprecedentedly comfortable. At the same time, its muscles, its bones, the claws are changing too. In a short period of time, it became bigger again. This time, he is so handsome. Very beautiful. Yi Yuni looked at Kai Yanhu's changes and was quite satisfied. Kai Yanhu now knew that Yi Yuni was doing it for his own good. He came over immediately and pressed his huge head against Yi Yuni. Well, don't be too tired. Yi Yuni saw that this guy wanted to lick him, and immediately grabbed his neck and chin with both hands. Keep it from opening its mouth. This would make him drool all over. Then he has to take a shower. Let's go. Go for a ride. Yi Yuni took a step forward and climbed directly onto Kai Yanhu. The red flame tiger jumped out. Then he ran wildly on the road in the city. After his bloodline became pure, this guy's speed suddenly increased. This group of flames galloping from a distance shocked many strangers. After a while, Yi Yuni saw several strangers discussing something. He rode over on the red flame tiger. What are you doing? City Lord, we found some footprints of alien beasts in the place where we rested yesterday, as well as traces of damage by alien beasts. That strange beast feels stronger. But we can't tell what kind of strange beast it is. Every sentence made Yi Yuni frown. After asking, Yi Yuni thought, he might as well go to the scene and see for himself. At that moment, he rode the red flame tiger and flew towards that direction. Under the speed of Kai Yanhu. After a while, we have arrived at the place the strangers talked about. As soon as it catches the eye, even the giant trees were destroyed. Or break, or uproot it, coming from afar, heading into the distance. Along the way, it was like a giant beast passing by. Yi Yuni then took Kai Yanhu to look at the footprints on the ground. This footprint, it's much bigger than the footprints of Qianyu. Much deeper too. Kai Yanhu looked at the footprints and the scene of destruction. The tiger eyes also shrank. Do you know what kind of strange beast it is? Yi Yuni patted the red flame tiger on the back and asked. Ouch! Kai Yanhu roared, then shook his head. Yi Yuni looked at the direction the strange beast was going. It seemed that that room was exactly the route of the man in black yesterday. Poor man in black. It seems that he has been trampled to pieces and suffered unexpected events. Yi Yuni clapped his hands. If I had known it earlier. He snatched all her crystal nuclei. Now she is afraid that after being trampled to death, she will be eaten by this strange beast. Forget it. He is quite disciplined. At that moment, Yi Yuni and Kai Yanhu also returned to the city. City Lord, how are you doing? A stranger looked at Yi Yuni coming back and also asked. Yi Yuni shook his head and immediately made arrangements. You have stepped up patrols recently. If there is anything strange, tell me immediately. In one sentence, everyone can understand. Take command now. Yi Yuni looked back. He can't guarantee whether the strange beast will come back. There is nothing wrong with being careful. The next 2 nights, Yi Yuni is still the groom. Within 2 days, the bonus of getting a wife and getting pregnant. Finally, the progress of the advanced card has been reached to 100%. Yi Yuni looked at the successfully created advanced card. My mind moved. Use. Next moment, a majestic energy suddenly poured into Yi Yuni's body. Now, he always felt as if he was in control of everything. Control life and death. This surging sense of power made Yi Yuni shrink his eyes. At the moment, he looked at his own light curtain. Name, Yi Yuni. Height, 185 centimeters. Level, Diamond early stage. Skills, Rapid absorption, God-level hunting skills, 2nd stage of Juyu Qi, God-level movement, 2nd stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon, Tomahawk level 1. Props, 19 God-level alien beast control pills, 10 dead soldier puppets. Strength, mid-golden stage, 9 bottles of God-level alien beast blood pure liquid reward. Diamond early stage. He finally set foot in the early diamond stage. If you add these skills, Yi Yuni is no longer just as terrifying as cross-level combat. Moreover, Yi Yuni also noticed it. As his strength increases, the strength of his 10 dead soldier puppets has also reached the golden stage. It seems, it's time to expand your power. Chapter 51. At the same time, on the other side, among the blue and white barriers, the members of the Exorcism Society frowned when they saw that the senior brothers and sisters had not returned yet, with displeasure on their faces. Why haven't they too come back yet? It's been a few days. The person next to him sighed and waved his hand. They are young, so I'm afraid they went out and played for a while longer, but the tasks inside the meeting should have been completed. One sentence made the man just now snort and nod. It seems so playful. The two of them didn't even think about the fact that the two of them had been killed. After all, their barrier was considered a second-tier city before the apocalypse. Those barriers to the east are all remote towns. When the apocalypse came, there were many powerful aliens in the big cities before the apocalypse. Similarly, even if barriers were built in remote towns, there would not be many strong people inside. They didn't take it seriously at all. As for the people who killed their exorcists, it was simply a fantasy. Okay, wait until they come back and then punish them. The next 2 days, among the other fortresses, the city lord and the strangers in the city were spending their time killing like crazy. Of course, not just killing, but also being killed. After all, those strange beasts will not just wait for you to kill them. Poof, with a sword thrust out, Dongfang Ruiyu was able to kill a late-stage silver beast in front of him. Pick it with one hand. The alien beast crystal core fell into the hands of Dongfang Ruiyu. Call. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at it and breathed a sigh of relief at the moment. Finally the crystal core is gathered together. At that moment, she also had resentment in her eyes. Loot. Naked robbery. Although it is under the guise of protection money, they all know that this is a naked scam. However, there is no way now. After all, she does not have the same strength as Yi Yuni. She can overturn the mighty barrier and take back all the houses in the mighty barrier by herself. You all need to tidy up and find a few people to follow me to the blue and white barrier tomorrow. Okay, City Lord. The stranger next to him said this with respect on his face. At the same time, here, in the Nebula barrier, Yi Yuni also became familiar with his own power. Counting the days, it is almost time for these barriers to go to the blue and white barrier to meet the crystal core. It's time for him to go there too. Collect protection money on his head. He wanted to let them see if he needed protection. Yi Yuni looked at it, and then tidied it up. Sitting on the red flame tiger, he looked at Zhou Weiwei and others below. I'm going to the blue and white barrier. Wait until I finish the matter. I'll take you to the big barrier. Big barrier. Listening to these words, Zhou Weiwei and others had yearning in their eyes. After all, there must be more resources and survivors in the big barrier. Here, Bai Jixi listened to the blue and white barrier and knew what Yi Yuni was going to do. Blue and white barrier. As Dongfang Ruiyu said before, it is a medium to large barrier. This is a barrier built by a second-tier city before the end of the world. All of them are strong. There is not just one exorcism session. There are other strong men fighting on their own. The purpose of my husband's trip this time was to have an exorcism session. She stood there, then looked at Yi Yuni, and waited for a long time before saying, pay attention to safety, and come back if you can't. Yi Yuni looked at her, don't worry. Then he patted Kai Yanhu on the back. The red flame tiger suddenly appeared. Watch Yi Yuni set off. Here, Bai Jixi also started to feel restless. I was worried. Here, Zhou Weiwei came over to ask about her situation. Why are you so restless? Zhou Weiwei said. Here, Bai Jixi looked at her, and after thinking about it, she also sighed. Called everyone over. It revealed the danger of Yi Yuni's trip. After everyone heard this, their eyes widened and they couldn't believe what they heard. Is it so dangerous? At that moment, there was a strong sense of worry on their faces. I'm going to help. Bai Jixi's words. Zhou Weiwei and others also nodded. They go too. Even those girls who have not yet been married have expressed their opinions one after another. After all, although they have not yet married Yi Yuni, they have integrated into this big family. Bai Jixi made some calculations, prepared, and set off with everyone. There is Xiao Haitzi, plus her. The strength is enough. Wait until they leave, in the city. 5 black shadows also flashed out. Follow Bai Jixi and the others out of the city. Nothing else. It's Yi Yuni's dead soldier puppet. At this time, Yi Yuni also knew the movements of Bai Jixi and the others. At the moment, these girls are lying on the back of the red flame tiger. It seems that he still needs to solve the trouble faster and let them arrive in peace. At that moment, he took another photo of the red flame tiger. The speed of the red flame tiger increased again. The next day, during the exorcism session, Dongfang Ruiyu and other city lords registered at the door. Submitted the core. Dongfang Ruiyu and others looked at the handed-over crystal core with pain in their eyes. After all, this is the result of their hard work. There are also the results after the aliens in the barrier bled and died. It was taken away so easily. But there is nothing you can do. After several people handed over, a stranger came out. City lords, our leader wants to see you. Afterwards, the stranger took them into a manor. This manor looks like it was transformed into a tourist attraction. 9 twists and turns, plus the pavilion and waterside pavilion. The environment is simply not too beautiful. Several people were walking, and then they saw a person fishing. A middle-aged man dressed in green clothes was sitting there, fishing with a rod in one hand. It's like being reborn from the mundane world. I heard Dongfang Ruiyu and others arriving. He also put down his fishing rod and looked at a few people. That look, it's no different than looking at ants. It feels as if he regards himself as the god who dominates all things, and treats them as mortals. It's good that you handed in the crystal core on time. In the future, the Exorcist Society will protect you. These few words contained extreme arrogance. Dongfang Ruiyu and the others couldn't help but feel angry as they listened. However, they really didn't dare to refute the slightest bit. Then, a stranger whispered something into the man's ear. After listening, Jao Kang frowned. You said that the city lord of Nebula Barrier has not arrived yet. He said it with a questioning tone, plus disdain. One sentence fell on Dongfang Ruiyu's ears. She was shocked. Yi Yuni, haven't arrived yet. Now, I'm afraid the time has passed. At the moment, she was thinking about Yi Yuni's reaction that day. One look at him, and he was really tough. In an instant, a bold idea appeared in her mind. Yi Yuni, are you not planning to hand over these crystal nuclei? As soon as this idea appeared in her mind, she was shocked. If this is true, then Yi Yuni is too courageous. After all, he accepted a red flame tiger as a mount. Let's consider his strength to be in the middle stage of his prime. With this strength, they can still thrive in a small barrier like theirs. But who are we facing now? What we are facing now is an exorcism meeting. There are countless powerful people in the Exorcist Society, not to mention their current leader. That is even more of the strength of Diamond in the early stage. She had already told Yi Yuni this information before. This guy, why are you still going against the wind? Next to them, the other city lords also felt strange emotions in their hearts when they heard those words. They are all shocking, but he didn't speak. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu also looked at Jao Kang, the leader of the Exorcism Society. Sir, this Nebula barrier is more remote than us, and it will definitely take longer to get here. In one sentence, Yi Yuni was saved. Jao Kang nodded impatiently. At the same time, here, Yi Yuni also rode the red flame tiger to the exorcism meeting. The stranger at the front door of the exorcism meeting saw Yi Yuni, and then looked at the red flame tiger under his crotch. He was stunned for a moment. This strange beast. He also knows him. Isn't this the early golden red flame tiger? But why is this red flame tiger so different? The color is even more fiery. And the body size is also larger. What a weird feeling. You're here to hand over the crystal core, right? Tell me, which fortress are you the city lord of? There was a coldness in the two sentences, as if they were routine. Here, Yi Yuni also looked at him. I am the city lord of Nebula Barrier. Nebula Barrier. The stranger looked at it, then snorted coldly. You are late, the ratio increases by 20%. After saying a word, he looked at Yi Yuni nonchalantly. Okay, where is your crystal core? Hand it over quickly. Then he looked at Yi Yuni who had come down. Seeing that Yi Yuni had not made any move at this time, he immediately became impatient. What are you writing on? Here, Yi Yuni also came to him. I'm here, I want to ask you a question first. Why, if you want the crystal core, I will give it to you. In one sentence, Yiren was also stunned. I can't believe what Yi Yuni is saying. We've met someone looking for trouble. The city lord of this small fortress really has a bad temper. Snort. Beside, many people who came to the exorcism meeting also heard Yi Yuni's words. At the moment, they looked at him like a monster. How ignorant must this person be to invite an exorcism meeting? I'll tell you with my fist. The enraged Yiren looked at Yi Yuni and put down a sentence. Next moment, the stranger suddenly rose up, and the ground beneath his feet was cracked. Then the whole person was like a shooting star, heading directly towards Yi Yuni. A moment, Gold's early strength suddenly exploded. Here, Yi Yuni looked at him and shook his head. Then he looked at Kai Yanhu next to him. Point forward. Kai Yanhu understood immediately. The huge body flashed, head towards the stranger. Call. In the air, the red flame tiger waves its claws. A harsh sound of breaking wind suddenly sounded. The tiger's claws struck directly at the stranger's chest. One strike. It can be called a powerful force. It was as if the overlord had lifted up 1,000 Jin cauldron and smashed it forward. The stranger saw the scarlet flame tiger coming, originally thinking that it was only in the early golden stage, and he could completely handle it. But I didn't expect it. This red flame tiger seems to be completely different. It was completely different from what he remembered. Too fierce. In the air, he switches from offense to defense. Block the attack of Qianyu. Boom, a muffled sound. The stranger was like a cannonball, and was slapped out by Kai Yanhu in an instant. Boom, 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 boom. The stranger flew towards the back. In the air, holes were knocked out of every room. After knocking through several walls, he wiped the floor, and then he wiped the floor for 10 meters before stopping. For a moment, the people nearby looked at it and were stunned. The power of this red flame tiger. Something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Here, the stranger also stood up, feeling the pain in his internal organs. The moment he opened his mouth, a blood arrow spurted out. This is the red flame tiger in the middle golden stage. Here, other strangers from the exorcism club also ran out. Looking at the situation in front of me, I don't know why. Someone is coming to cause trouble. Come on, everyone. Attention, this red flame tiger is the red flame tiger in the middle golden stage. One word, make everyone shrink their eyes. Stare at the red flame tiger. This turned out to be the red flame tiger in the middle golden stage. No wonder this guy looks so weird. This guy, no wonder he dares to make trouble. It turns out there is a middle golden red flame tiger. Here, the number of bystanders is gradually increasing. They are watching the situation here from a distance, and all of them have shocked faces. But it's of no use. There are many strong people in the Exorcist Society. Don't forget, their leader is a serious diamond strongman. Diamond. As soon as these two words came out, the weight is extremely heavy. At that moment, they looked at Yi Yuni with pity in their eyes. This way, the disciples from the front sect of the Exorcist Society have already headed towards the red flame tiger. The two sides immediately started a big battle. In an instant, the sound broke through the air. Sonic boom. Explosion. The sound is in my ears. At this time, the pure-blooded red flame tiger seemed to have transformed into the god of war. Stand in front of Yi Yuni. They all attacked the disciples of the exorcism club like crazy. The tiger's claws keep poking out. Every time he pokes his head out, he will send an alien flying dozens of meters, throwing up dust. Here, Qianyu's muscle lines are gradually becoming more and more prominent. The body shape is also gradually expanding. Even the hair is as hard as a steel needle. Yi Yuni looked at Kai Yanyu's appearance. At that moment, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This guy. It turns out that the previous blood purifying potion has not been fully absorbed yet. Now in the process of fighting, he is also constantly purifying his bloodline. That's why there was such a change. Okay, Yi Yuni also let Kai Yanhu go. But, gradually, during the exorcism meeting, high-level strangers also appeared. He launched a fierce attack on the red flame tiger. Boom, a bang. The claws of the red flame tiger are facing a late-stage golden alien. Suddenly there was an explosion. The red flame tiger flew out upside down. Fall to the ground. There was also a little blood oozing from the mouth. A group of strangers looked at the desperate look of the Kai Yanhu, and then looked at Yi Yuni. They did not expect that this guy's mount was so powerful. But, it is also suppressed now. Are you convinced? The late golden stranger looked at Yi Yuni, raised his head, and asked proudly. In his opinion, Kai Yanhu has been suppressed now, and many of their people have come. This time, victory is already guaranteed. Clothes. Yi Yuni said. He was just about to take a step. Next moment, the red flame tiger roared. Then, a violent bloody light emitted from his body. Roar, a roar of a tiger, ringing throughout the sky. In an instant, Kai Yanhu attracted everyone's attention. I saw little flames rising from the body of the red flame tiger at this time. The entire body size further increases. It's 7 feet long. The momentum is also enhanced. Next moment, Kai Yanhu stared at the strong man in the late golden stage just now. The moment is the first step. The body flies away in the air. Huge tiger claws shot. Call. The stranger felt the huge power and immediately punched him. Next moment, that sense of power came from me. It made him shrink his eyes. What power? How could there be such terrifying power? Without waiting for his reaction, he fell directly backward. Tumbling in the air, get down on one knee. It wiped out several meters before stopping. This way, Kai Yanhu jumped to the side, heading towards an early gold alien. Bang! Under the bloody mouth of the red flame tiger. An alien's head was immediately bitten off. Then, the red flame tiger also headed to the side. In an instant, everyone here was in chaos. No one thought of it. This red flame tiger is so powerful. In the distance, everyone watching was stunned. They looked here, and the corners of their mouths twitched. What a weird red flame tiger this is. At the same time, the other side, in the manor, Jao Kang was with a group of city lords. Prepare to issue the crystal core task for the next cycle. But, next moment, just a figure hurried over. Chief, the city lord of Nebula Barrier is here. One word, Dongfang Ruoyu's face was filled with joy. It turned out that Yi Yuni did not resist. Although this will cause heavy bleeding. But it's much better than losing your life directly. And, didn't he just break through the barrier of might? Compared with their barriers, there is too much money. Here, while she was thinking about it, the stranger continued, he came to make trouble. He refused to hand over the crystal core and started a fight with our people. Right outside. Boom. One word. It was like a bolt from the blue. Dongfang Ruoyu was stunned for a moment, and the hair on his body stood up. What did he just say? Beside, the other city lords also froze when they heard it. This, Yi Yuni came here single-handedly. How brave this is. Are you going to die? Then, a flash appeared before their eyes. Next moment, just when I saw Jao Kang, he was no longer where he was. It's over. Dongfang Ruoyu looked at Jao Kang who was no longer there. He is going to find Yi Yuni. Front. Kai Yanu's mouth was full of blood at this time. But, it's not it. But it's from a stranger in the Exorcist Society. At this time, it is getting stronger and braver. Just don't be too brave. Even these strangers were killed by it. Several late gold strangers looked at the scene in front of them. I was also panicking in my heart. They have a feeling that although they are strong men in the late golden stage, they are still a little weak when facing the red flame tiger alone. This guy is so weird. Boy, how dare you hold an exorcism party? Wait for our leader to come. I will definitely make you a prisoner. Just a few words. They are also ready to step forward. But the next moment, a figure fell in front of them. They look. For a moment, it was like seeing a savior. Far away, others looked at the figure floating down in the sky. All eyes are fixed. This is the leader of the Exorcist Society. A strong player in the early diamond stage. Jao Kang. The rightful owner is here. Jao Kang looked at the scene, then looked at the stranger who had just spoken. What you just said was wrong. The stranger was stunned. Then he lowered his head. Don't dare to refute. Chief, what does this sentence mean? Could it be that he took a fancy to this young man's strength and wanted to recruit him into the club? Treat him like a guest. Is that why I'm reprimanding him now? But, next moment, Jao Kang looked at Yi Yuni with indifference in his eyes, and then snorted, anyone who dares to violate the exorcism meeting, no other steps are needed, just kill them. In a word, the wind is gentle and the clouds are calm. It's like killing Yi Yuni is like killing cows and chickens. Hear this. The members of the Exorcist Club behind him were suddenly shaken. Suddenly he became hardened. Chief, we understand our mistake. Roar. Kai Yanhu roared angrily after hearing Jao Kang's words. Next moment, just rushed towards Jao Kang. Here, Jao Kang looked at the charging Kai Yanhu. Keep your feet down. A huge stone flew towards the red flame tiger. Boom. Red flame tiger blocks. In an instant, a huge force came. The red flame tiger flew away directly. Such a huge body. Directly destroy a row of houses. Smoke and dust rose in an instant. Behind the scenes, everyone in the Exorcist Club suddenly cheered. Far away, everyone watched this scene. They all swallowed their saliva. Is it the power of the Diamond Strongman? The Scarlet Flame Tiger who was in trouble just now. So vulnerable in front of him. Oops, this kid, it's over. In an instant, everyone turned their pity eyes to Yi Yuni, who was still standing in the middle of the field. Here, Jao Kang walked towards Yi Yuni step by step. Boy, you have no idea how powerful the diamond level is. Do you think you have a red flame tiger that breaks through the ordinary level and you can dominate it? As everyone knows, in my eyes, you are all like ants. One sentence came out of Jao Kang's mouth. Yi Yuni looked at Zhao Kang, who was walking towards him, stood with his hands behind his hands and looked up at him. Actually, the diamond level is nothing great. One word. The whole audience was stunned. Then pairs of eyes widened, and they couldn't believe what Yi Yuni said. This guy, what a loud tone. Diamond level, nothing powerful. Court death. It's simply courting death. Zhao Kang also snorted coldly after hearing these words. The next moment, he steps down a little bit. The figure suddenly became blurry. Open your hands. Just grab Yi Yuni's neck. Everyone just felt a flash before their eyes. The next moment Zhao Kang's movements were captured. He was already in front of Yi Yuni. Hand. It has almost reached Yi Yuni's neck. In an instant, everyone in the distance had pity on their faces. It's over. This time, your neck won't be broken. Here, the members of the Exorcist Society looked at this scene with joy on their faces. Arrogant boy, what you pay is the price of your life. All of them were staring straight ahead. Get ready to see how Yi Yuni gets his neck broken. But, next moment, Zhao Kang felt like he was in front of him. Use your hands hard. Be prepared to cut Yi Yuni's neck in an instant. But, got it. The members of the Exorcist Society in the distance looked at this scene as if they had seen a ghost. People, where are the people? Even Zhao Kang is average. For a moment, his hair stood on end. Where are the people? Then, a soft word came from his ear. I told you, diamond level is nothing special. Diamond, it's nothing amazing. A light word, it fell into Zhao Kang's ears. It was like a thunder explosion. Then, Yi Yuni punched and rushed towards him. Punch out. The surrounding space seems to be distorted. Call. A violent sonic boom. Break the wind. Send it out together. Like a roaring dragon. Zhao Kang looked at this punch, as if he had seen Gongong's anger at Buzhou Mountain. Such momentum. Like a rainbow. He turned around hastily to block. Next moment, just feel the fierce power. Then, he was like a cannonball. Flying backwards towards the back. Boom. At this time, Zhao Kang is not much better than the previous Kai Yanhu. However, because Zhao Kang is smaller than the Kai Yanhu, so he smashed through the walls. One punch. Smash it. For a moment, everyone in the distance had their eyes widened. They couldn't believe what they saw. What is the power? He actually knocked out Zhao Kang in the early diamond stage. So, what kind of strength does this young man have? Early diamond, mid diamond, or the late diamond stage? At the same time, everyone in the exorcism club here couldn't help but tremble in their legs as they watched this scene. They originally thought that Yi Yuni's support was the strange red flame tiger, but did not think of, he is actually the strong one. Bang! Next moment, there was an explosion in the distance. Everyone looked over and saw Zhao Kang coming out of the wasteland. There is a look of reluctance on his face. He was not prepared just now. Only in an instant did he fall behind. He looked at Yi Yuni, still surprised by his strength. Coupled with this face, it is really confusing. Zhao Kang headed towards Yi Yuni. At this time, Yi Yuni's skills were also operating to the extreme. God-level hunting. Juyu's energy. King Kong is indestructible. He watched Zhao Kang come. No mercy either. He rushed forward. As everyone watched, they felt a flash in front of their eyes. The two white rainbows collided together. Boom. For a moment, they all wondered if they were dazzled. The moment the two collided, there seemed to be waves of air surging. In the air, the two of them were constantly fighting against each other. Boom, boom, boom. Punch to the flesh. At this time, Zhao Kang's eyes widened and he gritted his fangs. Feeling Yi Yuni's power, take over Yi Yuni's attack. It was like a stormy sea was rising in my heart. This boy, what kind of power is this? After every blow, the power is stronger than before. It is no exaggeration to describe it as a powerful force. Why, when I hit him, it was like hitting him on fine steel. Why? Zhao Kang's eyes were also bloodshot. Looking at Yi Yuni, I also had a lot of confusion in my heart. This kid, so weird. However, now, he can only bite the bullet and continue. At this time, Zhao Kang's initial arrogance, coldness, and cruelty had begun to shatter inch by inch. Fight and retreat. At this time, Yi Yuni was also feeling the majestic power in his body. Diamond early stage. coupled with the increase in Juyu's energy. Yi Yuni's punches were more powerful than the last. Plus King Kong is indestructible. At this time, Yi Yuni's body seemed to be blooming with little golden lights. Boom boom boom. Wherever the two of them go. Like a strong wind passing by. Leave no trace behind. The houses are all in ruins. Turn into powder. In the dust, everyone was also vaguely catching the figures of the two of them. Looking at the two of them. Everyone in the distance swallowed their saliva and took a breath of air. Is this the diamond strong? One sentence simply spoke to everyone's heart. They want to say this too. Is he the diamond powerhouse? They knew before that diamonds were strong. But now, they know how powerful diamonds are. Call, the wind is blowing. The next moment, everyone looked towards Yanshan. Just saw Zhao Kang flying out of the smoke and dust. Only, weird posture. Just like a shrimp, fly in the air. That way, it was like being punched in the stomach. It's like being beaten up. While everyone was horrified and shocked. A figure flashed in front of Zhao Kang. Then turn over and kick. Kicked Zhao Kang directly in the chest and abdomen. Boom. In an instant, Zhao Kang shot towards the distance. Wherever it passed, the whirlwind swept away the smoke and dust in an instant. At the same time, in the manner, Dongfang Ruiyu also had an anxious look on his face. She still recalled the rage hidden beneath the calmness on Zhao Kang's face just now. There will be no room for reconciliation. Now, I'm afraid I won't be able to see Yi Yuni anymore. Not only will he suffer, but also the Nebula barrier where he is located will suffer. After all, this is the first time that the Exorcist Society has collected protection fees. If someone refuses to pay his dues for the first time, of course he has to deal with it. Kill the chicken to scare the monkey. Even annihilation of the barrier is possible. This disaster is really too great. Too big. At that moment, she also sighed heavily in her heart. Next to them, all the city lords also had strange expressions on their faces. They never thought that Yi Yuni, a little golden stranger, would dare to be so tough. Hey, sometimes having strong bones is not a good thing. A city lord said, shaking his head and sighing, as if he had sentenced Yi Yuni to death. In his opinion, no matter how powerful Yi Yuni is, he is still a golden stranger, but Zhao Kang is the leader of the Exorcism Society. The strength has set foot on the diamond. The gap between the two is like a chasm. Insurmountable. HMPH, that boy is still arrogant. He dares to do this just because he has good strength and a red flame tiger. He thinks that he will be invincible after destroying a mighty barrier. How can it be? A mere mighty barrier is nothing in the eyes of the Exorcist Society. That's right, a city lord next to him said in support, he's healed now, but not only will he die. The barrier will also suffer. The most important thing is, I don't know if it will implicate us. After listening to these words, Dongfang Ruiyu also frowned and looked at them. Okay, Dongfang Ruiyu said something, and others looked at her, and then scolded her. There was also dissatisfaction on his face. What's the meaning? Are you, the golden stranger, starting to be great? At that moment, they all snorted coldly. Where did they go wrong? That kid is probably dead now. After all, there were so many explosions in the distance just now. Now I'm afraid it has been torn into pieces by Zhao Kang. Just when they were thinking about it, there was an explosion, coming from a distance again. Then, they just looked at a figure. From a distance. Like a shooting star, split the sky, heading straight towards them. Then, smash into the artificial lake next to them. Boom, the huge lake water, surge. What happened? All the city lords were unexpected. At this time, the raging lake water poured all over my head and body. However, they no longer care about so much. Now, they wipe the lake water from their faces. All the hairs on their bodies stand on end. Recalling the situation just now, there was shock in the eyes. What? It's actually possible to achieve such speed. Moreover, it hit the lake water like this. The one just now seemed to be a person. One sentence can wake up everyone. Yes, the shooting star that came just now seems to be a person. At that moment, they had the answer in their minds. This person is probably Yi Yuni. Who else could it be but him? I'm afraid I was called by Zhao Kang, the president of the Exorcism Society. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu also looked into the lake, ready to look for Yi Yuni's figure. Oh, this. In her eyes. In the lake, a man was struggling to swim upward. Not dead, not dead. All the city lords also looked at it, with shock on their faces at the moment. This kid, so strong, not even dead, they thought to themselves, the impact just now, let alone death or not. I'm afraid they'll all turn into powder. Their eyes were fixed on the figure in the lake. But, as the figure got closer to the lake, their eyes slowly widened. Why is this person so familiar? It doesn't seem like Yi Yuni. Right, this is definitely not Yi Yuni. And, this seems to be. Next moment, that guy's water broke, lie down on the shore. Everyone looked at it with their eyes widened and couldn't believe what they saw. Who is this? Jao Kang, a name that they couldn't imagine appeared in their minds. Their eyes became more determined, their eyes fell on Jao Kang, and they confirmed it countless times. That's right, it's really Jao Kang. For a moment, they all felt as if 10,000 grass and mud horses were running through their hearts. Leave them with countless questions. Jao Kang, didn't you go to deal with Yi Yuni? And, isn't Jao Kang a strong player in the early diamond stage? Now, what's going on? Why was he beaten down? Now this Jao Kang is like a dead dog. Is it still the coercive Jao Kang they have seen before, who is like a god coming down to earth to despise them? Just when they were wondering, a figure flashed from a distance. Let them all be dazzled when they see clearly who is coming in front of them. Pupil earthquake. This is Yi Yuni. It's really Yi Yuni. Ruiyu in the east is in an uproar, and the waves are turbulent at this time. It's going up and down violently at this time. Other city lords also feel weak in their legs. They were just saying that Yi Yuni is dead now. Taunt him, ridicule him that although he is tough, he is overestimating his own abilities. I thought it was absolutely hopeless. But, now he appeared in front of them alive. Instead, Jao Kang was like a dead dog, now crawling at Yi Yuni's feet. Jao Kang saw Yi Yuni coming at this time. The blood is also rising. Then he spit out a mouthful of blood. He at this time. It is far different from the way he was before when he was banished to the mortal world. Like a lost dog, at this time, he looked at Yi Yuni. The next moment, I saw Yi Yuni open his hand and wave. The battle axe appeared in his hand. The cold light of the battle axe reflected on Jao Kang's face, making him narrow his eyes. Then, his eyes widened. Watch Yi Yuni's battle axe fall. He yelled with the last of his strength, "You dare! I am." Poof. One word, not finished yet. Yi Yuni's battle axe has fallen. Next moment, 7 steps of blood splatter. As soon as Yi Yuni stepped under his feet, Jao Kang's head fell into Yi Yuni's hands. He grabbed Jao Kang's hair. The other hand held the tomahawk. Not slow, step by step. Head outside. When passing by a group of city lords, their legs were weak. He also endured it and quickly made way. Yi Yuni walked past them. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at Yi Yuni's back in the distance with shock in his eyes. She didn't expect that there will be such a result. At this moment, she was filled with surprise and joy. Although, she didn't know the joy was coming. At the same time, as the battlefield shifts, here, whether it is the people in the distance or the people from the Exorcism Club, they are all heading towards the manor. Especially the people from the Exorcism Club are even more prepared. Next moment, the door to the manor slowly opened. All the members of the Exorcist Society were staring at the door. There was solemnity on their faces. Want to see their leader. Jao Kang. Then, they looked ahead and their eyes suddenly lit up. This is leader. But, next moment, their eyes narrowed severely. My legs are almost weak. Each one looks like a concubine. Far away, when everyone looked at this, they were extremely shocked. His face was a little distorted. The person who poked out from the door was indeed Jao Kang. However, there is only Jao Kang's head. Then, from behind, a hand came out. Yi Yuni, holding Jao Kang's head, he slowly walked out of the manor. Wow, in an instant, there was an uproar in the distance. None of them thought that things would develop like this. Jao Kang, he actually died. And, not after the fierce battle. In their opinion, he was killed instantly by Yi Yuni. Serious murder. This boy. Horrible. It's so scary. This way. Yi Yunyi walked slowly towards the people at the exorcism meeting. Everyone in the Exorcist club looked at him and their feet were shaking unconsciously. Then, there are people fleeing in all directions. When other people saw this scene, they also hurriedly followed. Here, Yi Yunyi looked at them and snorted coldly. Keep your feet down. Pieces of gravel shot out with harsh sonic booms. Poof, poof, after the sounds of broken flesh and blood. The heads of several strong men were pierced. With a heavy landing sound. Their bodies were also patted on the ground. Far away. The few remaining people thought they had escaped successfully. But the next moment, with a violent roar, among the ruins below, a red figure suddenly appeared. Rushed towards a golden early-stage stranger. One bite. The fangs pierced the stranger's chest. Kai Yanyu's eyes were bloody at this moment. Extremely lethal. One by one. Explode and kill the remaining golden aliens. In an instant, this area. It's filled with blood mist. After everyone in the distance saw it, they also retreated quickly. They looked in front of them. Never thought of it. The exorcism meeting was actually carried out by such a young man, single-handedly. Went out. Jao Kang, his head is in a different place. They looked at Yi Yunyi. I want his appearance to be deeply imprinted in my mind. They knew that this boy would transform into a dragon from now on. After a while, before the exorcism meeting, there were already corpses everywhere. Those who died were all gold-level aliens. Certainly. And Jao Kang was raped in Yi Yunyi's hands. The remaining strangers from the Exorcist Society who were not here also voluntarily disassociated themselves from the Exorcist Society after hearing the news. Joke. If you don't break away from the relationship, is it possible that you still want to take revenge? You know, this person is someone who can kill even Jao Kang, a diamond powerhouse. Revenge. They have no thief heart, let alone the thief courage. Dongfang Ruiyu and the others also followed Yi Yunyi's footsteps. Then I saw this scene. Look at the terrifying and shocking scene in front of you. Several city lords turned pale for an instant. Dongfang Ruiyu couldn't help but cover her mouth with her hands. His eyes were constantly trembling. She can now imagine what it was like when Yi Yunyi single-handedly destroyed the mighty barrier. I'm afraid it's even scarier than this. Plop. Next to them, the two city lords suddenly felt weak at their feet. He collapsed directly to the ground. It was none other than the one who said that Yi Yunyi should not be able to survive Jao Kang's hands. Yi Yunyi also swept them away. There is coldness in the eyes. Just a glance. It almost gave them all a heart attack. This way. Yi Yunyi moved towards the red flame tiger. The huge red flame tiger was coming towards him. Yi Yunyi was just a step away. Take Qianyu directly towards the inside. The next time. It's time to find the loot. Here, Jao Kang's resources are also relatively easy to find. After all, his diamond-level strength is there. Even if the resources are placed directly in the open air, no one would dare to touch them. After opening it, the mountain-like crystal nuclei are placed there. Yi Yunyi couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth as he watched. Although there are not as many crystal nuclei here as in the mighty barrier. However, the quality is definitely not comparable to that of mighty barrier. What's here are all gold-level exotic beast crystal nuclei. Hundreds. Here, Kai Yanhu trembled as he looked at this. It also knows that if Yi Yunyi were not here today, if it faced Jao Kang, even though its bloodline would be pure, its strength would have improved. I'm afraid I'll be killed too. Then the crystal nuclei are cut out and put together with these crystal nuclei. Yi Yunyi walked towards inside. Then I saw a hidden compartment at the very end. He opened the secret compartment. Look at what's inside. He was stunned for a moment. What's this? I saw that in the dark grid, there was a piece of scales. Those scales are as big as a cattail fan. Colorful and beautiful. And it feels strange. Yi Yunyi stroked it with his hand, thinking in his mind, what kind of strange beast must have these scales to be so big? I'll be a good boy. Yi Yunyi looked at Kai Yanhu who was following behind him. Do you know? Kai Yanhu looked at it with doubts in his eyes. Then he shook his head. But his eyes were also solemn. After all, with such big and weird scales, he was probably not an ordinary strange beast. Here, Yi Yunyi threw it directly into the system space. Then, I saw a scroll inside. After opening, it's a map. However, Yi Yuni couldn't understand it very well, at least not the map around here. This guy is mysterious. Yi Yuni snorted coldly. It also puts the scroll into the system space. Then, Yi Yuni looked at the crystal core behind. It was a big wave of his hand at that moment. Absorbs quickly. Then, hundreds of gold-level alien beast crystal nuclei in front of him turned into a huge energy and entered Yi Yuni's body. Call. That majestic energy flows through Yi Yuni's body like a torrent. Yi Yuni originally thought that so many gold-level alien beast crystal cores could directly help him break through the shackles. Come to the diamond middle stage. But it didn't work out. Sure enough, it is still difficult to grow in strength later on. A massive amount of crystal nuclei is needed. Later, Yi Yuni explored some again, and there were many other crystal nuclei, but they were all at the silver level and below. Jao Kang used a huge basement to store this amount. Yi Yuni looked at it. These were probably sent by those barriers. Afterwards, he once again explored the crystal nuclei of other gold-level aliens. There are quite a few. He absorbed all the high-level ones. However, there is still no advancement. As for the other crystal nuclei, Yi Yuni put them all into the basement. A huge basement, the size of several football fields. It's almost full. As for the spiritual plants, Yi Yuni also found some. But it is far less than the number of crystal nuclei. After all, this Jao Kang is not an alchemist. There is no need for spiritual strains. As for the furs and furs of other spiritual beasts, they were all placed in this manner by Jao Kang. Yi Yuni walked around the manor and felt good. Then, his mind moved. Bai Jixi and the others are here. At that moment, Yi Yuni ran out with Kai Yanhu. Just went out. I just saw a lot of strangers gathering at the door. What's the meaning? Yi Yuni looked at them and asked coldly. This sentence. Let them all tremble. I was shocked immediately. The leader of the stranger quickly raised his hand and said, Sir, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We just saw your majestic figure, and we saw that you just took over the manor, and we wanted to ask you if there is anything we can do to help. We are willing to do our best. You see, after saying this, the other strangers also raised their heads. Looking at Yi Yuni, his eyes were as sincere as possible. Joke. Most of them were strangers who were watching this battle just now. Now, of course, I have to be the first to show my kindness. After all, those who are near the water and the towers get the moon first. This blue and white barrier is too big. They are the closest to here, so they naturally have the best chance. If word spreads that he is waiting to come back, there will be no telling how many strangers will come to seek refuge with him. I'm afraid it won't be their turn by then. Yi Yuni also understood what they meant. Okay, you guys first help me sort out the ruins here and make them tidy. Yi Yuni said, and then looked at the fighting scene outside the manor just now. This manor is the residence of Jao Kang and some high-level aliens. As for the outside, it is the residence of other members. He had just explored the resources in the manor, and there should be many outside. Thinking about it, Yi Yuni added, help me organize all the resources I found. Okay, sir. The leader, Qian, was handed over by a foreigner. Then there was a joyful look on his face. This was considered a relationship with this adult. Wait until Yi Yuni leaves. They also started to pack it up quickly. The more you clean it up, the more shocking it becomes. This scene is too violent. This wall is shattered. Well, compared to this kind of power, their abilities are beyond recognition. Here, Yi Yuni is riding a red flame tiger and walking among the blue and white barriers. Next to him, many strangers looked over. This red flame tiger is so domineering. They have seen the red flame tiger, but they have never seen a red flame tiger like this. Wu Cow, look at how that red flame tiger has become like that. This is a variant. Next to him, a stranger pointed at Kai Yanhu and said. Next to him, a stranger heard the Kai Yanhu and looked over there as a conditioned reflex. Then, it felt like the hairs on my body were exploding. Immediately, he covered his hand. You don't want to die. One sentence made the man next to him full of doubts. What are you doing? Why don't you just point it out? Why are you so excited? You know nothing. The stranger looked at Yi Yuni, the corners of his mouth twitching. I just walked over and heard the people next to me saying that the Exorcism Society was destroyed. What? After the man heard this, he immediately raised his voice. Then when he saw the strangers around him looking at him, he quickly lowered his voice. When were they killed? Nonsense. Isn't their leader Jao Kang from the early diamond stage? The stranger stared at the man. Why did I lie to you? The rumor is that a young man riding a mutated red flame tiger chopped off Jao Kang's head. Massage. Isn't this the one? How dare you point fingers at him? Do you think your neck is harder than Jao Kang's? Ah, a few words made the men next to him shrink their necks. So cruel, so strong, so fierce. Does he have a tough neck with Jao Kang? Then adding a few layers of steel plates can't compare to others. At that moment, his face turned pale in an instant. He quickly hid behind the stranger and quietly poked his head in. He breathed a sigh of relief when Yi Yuni didn't notice him. Along the way, many people heard the news. They are all looking at Yi Yuni. Many strangers are ready to curry favor. But looking at Yi Yuni and Kai Yanhu walking in a hurry at this time, they were filled with murderous intent. In the end, no one dared to take a brave step. They all watched Yi Yuni heading towards the city gate. At the same time, outside the city gate, on the way, Bai Jixi and the others also looked at the map, and they were almost at the blue and white barrier. At this moment, even Bai Jixi was getting more and more nervous. After all, she knew Yi Yuni's intention of coming to the blue and white barrier this time. Just be tough. And the leader of the exorcism club is a diamond powerhouse. There are countless golden warriors under his command. Can this really succeed, regardless of success or not? Unsuccessful, she also went to avenge her husband. Although it may also be a gift. Around them, Zhou Weiwei and others also looked at Bai Jixi's ugly face, their faces solemn. They just heard Bai Jixi analyze it for them. It can be said that it was a narrow escape from death. They also secretly made up their minds at this time. If something happens to their husbands, they won't be able to survive. We're almost there. Bai Jixi's words brought everyone back to their senses, and they were praying in their hearts. Walk. Bai Jixi is speeding up. Head towards the blue and white barrier. Then he looked at the fortress wall that appeared with firm eyes. Next moment, just looking at the red light at the city gate. Suddenly stunned. Ah, this is. The other girls also looked at it, all stunned. That huge figure. Is it their red flame tiger? It doesn't seem like it. Then their eyes moved up and looked at the person on the tiger's back. In an instant, tears welled up. This is their husband. At that moment, Bai Jixi and others were riding wildly over Hubei Mountain. Yi Yuni looked at it and jumped down. Head towards them. After a while, it's an encounter. Bai Jizai's early golden strength can be used immediately. With a little step under his feet, his figure suddenly appeared. Other girls. Ah, Sister Bai, you don't follow martial ethics. Is this how strength is used? Then, Bai Jixi threw herself into Yi Yuni's arms. After, all the other girls are here. Husband, are you okay? Bai Jixi finished hugging Yi Yuni and looked at her. She was relieved that Yi Yuni was not injured. It's okay, it's all solved. Yi Yuni said. Bai Jixi was also stunned. Has everything been solved? What was solved? Did it resolve the matter, or? At that moment, Yi Yuni looked at the confusion in her eyes, then put his hand on her neck and rubbed it. In an instant, Bai Jixi also swallowed a mouthful of saliva. When you open your mouth, you can almost put an egg in it. Solved. Diamond strongman. Ah, so, my husband is now a diamond expert. Something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Husband, you are definitely picking up yin and replenishing yang. Otherwise, why would the strength grow so fast? Bai Jixi's heart was suddenly filled with shock. This way, Yi Yuni saw Zhou Weiwei and others crying with joy, and immediately said, "Stop crying, let's go to the city, I'll show you our new home, it's absolutely shocking." With that said, he led everyone on the back of Kai Yanhu. There were other mounts, heading into the city together. Husband, why did our red flame tiger become like this? Han Bingyu asked. Yi Yuni touched the red flame tiger. This guy's blood is pure now. So the look has changed. Several people were talking and laughing in Hubei Mountain. Beside, many people also saw this scene. At this moment, all the men and women looked here, their mouths twitching. This scene, It was comparable to before the apocalypse, when they were all poor losers who saw the rich second generation wearing beautiful cars and beauties. Now, even more so than before the end of the world. This guy, riding the red flame tiger. Moreover, how about a bunch of beauties? Each one of them is stunning, beautiful and fragrant. Slim and chic. Look at those slender legs. That waist. That face. All the men and women looked on with extreme envy in their hearts. This is what people call life. However, no one dared to say anything. After all, he is so powerful. Here, many female aliens also saw it. I was also thinking deeply at the moment, not knowing what I was thinking about. On the back of the tiger, a group of girls also looked at their surroundings. It is indeed a big barrier. It is simply not comparable to Nebula barrier. After a while, Yi Yuni also led them to the front of the garden. In front of the garden at this time, it's a large open space. The ruins and rubble just now have been cleared away. On one side, there are crystal nuclei, exotic strains, various exotic animal skins, etc. On the other side, a group of strangers and several city lords stood, all waiting. Several girls were stunned when they saw such a scene. Such a big formation. The one in front is our new home. Yi Yuni's words drew the attention of all the girls to the manor in front of them. They looked at it, and the next moment they gasped. This manor, is this your new home? When they looked at the manor, their eyes were all bright. After all, this is the place. In the past, they were all tourist attractions. Further forward, it is a place where only hereditary nobles can live. There is no place for them to live. Now, there is this opportunity. Let's go in and take a look. Here, Yi Yuni patted them. They headed inside. Bai Jixi also saw Dongfang Ruiyu standing there. Dongfang City Lord. Bai Jixi greeted Dongfang Ruiyu. After all, the two had a good personal relationship before. Then she looked at Yi Yuni with questioning eyes. Yi Yuni also understood. Just take it in and have a look, it's fine. Ruiyu, let's go in and take a look. Bai Jixi then pulled Dongfang Ruiyu in. After entering, Zhou Weiwei and others also looked at Dongfang Ruiyu. Sister Bai, who is this one? This is Dongfang Ruiyu, the city lord of Seaside Barrier. You should have heard of him before. Bai Jixi introduced. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu also nodded towards a few people. Show respect, although they are all ordinary people. But I can't bear it, these are Yi Yuni's wives. City Lord Yi is a powerful stranger who can kill Jao Kang, the diamond powerhouse. It is more valuable for a wife to obey her husband. That's it, let's go in and take a look together. Zhou Weiwei also welcomed Dongfang Ruiyu. Then he looked at Dongfang Ruiyu's face and figure. Such appearance, such gracefulness. My husband will definitely like it. Zhou Weiwei thought. Then he led everyone and ran towards the inside. Look at the decoration inside. A moment. Everyone was dazzled. Magnificent. This is no exaggeration to describe. At that moment, all the warblers and swallows were heading inside. Every time you open a room, it's like opening a blind box. Not too happy at all. Here, Yi Yuni was looking at everyone outside with a smile on his face. Thank you for your hard work. No hard work, no hard work. The leading stranger said immediately. In this way, I will hold a wedding banquet tonight, and everyone can come to attend. One sentence made everyone shrink their eyes. What does this mean? This means, do you regard them as your own? You know, at Zhao Kang's time, they didn't even have a chance to see Zhao Kang. Now, there is such an opportunity. To know, this one is even more powerful than Zhao Kang. If you lean on him, why don't you take off? Here, many strangers were also moved. This person was going to get married, so they couldn't lose their etiquette when inviting them. Things still have to be delivered. And it can't be tattered. It has to be something good. Go back and prepare. This thought suddenly came to everyone's mind. Sir, let's go back first to prepare, and then come over to help you decorate. What do you think? Good. After receiving Yi Yuni's approval, everyone left. Yi Yuni looked at the remaining things and saw that there was no one around. Now he waved his hand. Absorbs quickly. The mountain-like crystal core suddenly turned into surging energy and entered Yi Yuni's body. Really? Still no progress. Disaster. Too difficult. Yi Yuni sighed. Then look at the rest. Just snap his fingers. Next moment, 5 figures came from a distance and came to Yi Yuni. It was none other than his 5 god-level puppets. Here, Kai Yanhu and others are also coming. Yi Yuni made arrangements and moved these things towards the garden. Inside, Zhou Weiwei and others also turned around for a long time before they were even halfway through. Too big. It's too big. Honey, this place is too empty. It's too big. Zhou Weiwei said, there are only a few of us, how can we possibly fit in here? Next to her, Baizhixi smiled softly, according to my husband's speed, I'm afraid it won't be long before this garden is full of people. In one sentence, the Han sisters and other sisters next to him put smiles on their faces. Dongfang Ruiyu. Ah, this. Do you all chat with each other like this? Are you so open-minded? Yi Yuni also looked at Baizhixi, and at the moment he felt that this girl had broken through. You owe it to yourself. Looks like he's in for a good whipping. Baizhixi looked at Yi Yuni's eyes and immediately lowered her head. Don't dare to look at each other. Yi Yuni then took them to the basement. The crystal cores and spiritual plants from outside were put in. Everyone looked at these crystal nuclei. All gasped. What a terrifying amount this is. What a terrifying wealth this is. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at it and thought about it. Among these crystal nuclei, there should be some that she and other city lords handed over. But, she knows it too. They turned it in because they were cowards. Since it has been handed in, it belongs to Zhao Kang. Now that Yi Yuni has killed Zhao Kang, these things naturally belong to Yi Yuni. She didn't even need to open her mouth, she knew it was impossible to get what she wanted. It's approaching night. Those strangers are also here. Help decorate the venue. Night. The venue is now decorated. Big red. Within the blue and white barrier, many families also came upon hearing the news. Sir, congratulations on your wedding. I am from the Wu family, and this is a congratulatory gift from our family to you. The head of the Wu family said, and then opened the congratulatory gifts. What is placed inside is mutated ginseng. It's almost human form. Yi Yuni looked at it, and he naturally knew the value of this spiritual plant. Thanks. Yi Yuni nodded and took it. Sir, I am Zheng Cheng, the head of the Zheng family. This is the gift I have prepared for you, 2 late gold crystal nuclei. Zheng Cheng opened the gift and felt heartache. This crystal core was obtained by their family at a great price. My lord, I am. This is me. Then, figures came one after another. Holding congratulatory gifts. Everyone is congratulating. At last, as the leader, Baizhixi began to record these gifts. More records. The more frightened. These family heads have really spent a lot of money. Bullshit. Of course, she welcomes it. Every time when gifts are given, the one that corresponds to the heartache expressions of the family heads is Baijixi's flowery smile. My hands are almost numb when I accept the gifts. After a while, everyone is also seated. The feast begins. Everyone was eating and drinking. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu is also sitting with several city lords. Several city lords saw that Dongfang Ruiyu and Baizhixi had a close relationship before, and they were able to get in touch with Yi Yuni. The suggestion is now, Dongfang City Lord, look, we and Yi City Lord proposed to take back those crystal cores, do you think it's okay? That's right, Yi Chengju's family has a big business and doesn't look down on our stuff at all. Let's invite Yi Chengju to dinner tomorrow, by the way. A few words. Dongfang Ruiyu frowned. She looked at a few people and said unceremoniously, do you think you want to come back? With one sentence, everyone fell silent. Then, a city lord spoke, Dongfang City Lord. Before he finished speaking, Dongfang Ruiyu waved his hand, I don't plan to take this crystal core anymore. Since we didn't resist like Lord Yi, I will admit it. After all, I am the one who is the coward. Furthermore, the crystal core was handed over to Zhao Kang, and it was not handed over to Lord Yi City. What do you mean by talking to Yi Chengju now? I definitely don't plan to take it anymore. If you do, you can take it. With these words, all the city lords had gloomy expressions on their faces. Then they looked at Dongfang Ruiyu, still wanting to give it a try. Dongfang City Lord, in this case, I think you have a good relationship with Yi City Lord. We will have a banquet tomorrow, can you help contact Yi City Lord? Do you think this is a small favor? Dongfang Ruiyu looked at them and sighed, okay. But I will also explain to City Lord Yi in advance that I don't want it. After saying that, Dongfang Ruiyu didn't want to talk to them anymore. He got up and went to find Bai Jixi. When she came to Bai Jixi, she also looked at Bai Jixi with a bright face. Then when I looked at the gift, I understood why this girl was smiling so happily. Good guy. Very violently. Ruiyu, you're here. When Bai Jixi saw Dongfang Ruiyu coming, she also greeted him. This blue and white barrier is really different from our other barriers and the moves are different. I plan to go to the trading market tomorrow. Do you have time? Bai Jixi said. After all, only the trading market of a barrier can show the magnificence of this barrier. Dongfang Ruiyu pondered for a while. Okay, I will collect some information tomorrow and then go with you. Okay, I just happen to be very busy right now. I see you are so happy that you can't stop smiling. Dongfang Ruiyu and Bai Jixi teased each other. Here, other strangers stood up and toasted to Yi Yuni. Don't be too respectful. The banquet is over. Yi Yuni also hugged the girl directly and entered the room just like before. However, this time he entered not the room where Zhou Weiwei was tortured before. The garden is really too big now. Yi Yuni directly found the farthest and most secluded place. Here, no matter how loud the sound is, it won't affect other people. One night, it didn't affect the other girls. Get up the next morning. Yi Yuni went out. Then I felt the garden and was in a good mood. At that moment, a light screen popped up in front of him. Congratulations to the host for successfully marrying a wife. Get 100 poison pills. Yi Yuni looked at the light screen in front of him. Poison pill. What's this? Afterwards, Yi Yuni carefully checked the details of the poison pill. This poison pill is quite interesting. There are also different types. Potent. There are also chronic ones. There are also ones that penetrate deep into the bone marrow, but are not toxic. Nice one. This can be saved. Thinking about it, Yi Yuni put it into the system space. Then I looked at the personal attributes. Name, Yi Yuni. Height, 185 centimeters. Level, Diamond early stage. Skills, Rapid absorption, God level hunting skills, second stage of Juyu Qi, God level movement, second stage of indestructible Vajra. Weapon, Tomahawk level 1. Props, 19 God level alien beast control pills, 10 dead soldier puppets strength. Mid-golden stage 9 bottles of God level alien beast blood pure liquid reward, 100 poison pills. Next moment, a light curtain pops up again. Congratulations to the host wife for her successful pregnancy. Get the God level beast, the Qingling Dapeng. This, Yi Yuni thought. Then comes the delivery. Next moment, Yi Yuni felt like the sky was dark. Then he looked into the air. I saw the sky far above his head. A huge black bird appears. Huge in size, all black. Yi Yuni was below and waved. Then, the big bird came down. Fall to the ground. Yi Yuni looked at it. Haha. Good guy. This big bird is extremely huge. Just standing there, it's 4 or 5 meters high. Not to mention spreading the wings, fully extended, it would have a wingspan of about 10 or 20 meters. That way, it's like the rock bird in the Lion Camel Ridge and Journey to the West. However, the beak of the big rock was still glowing with cold light. The claws are also average. Just landed. The moment it touched the floor, the claws made several holes in the floor. All in all, it's not too impressive at all. If you ride on it, wouldn't it be more useful than a pre-apocalyptic airplane? Nice one. Then, Yi Yuni looked at Qingling Dapeng. Variety, Qingling Dapeng. Bloodline, pure. Grade, mid-golden stage. Not bad. It's the golden middle stage right from the start. Unlike Xiao Haitzi, he was still a puppy when he came. Subsequently, Yi Yuni poured out some god-level animal food. After Dapeng saw it, he came over and ate as if he didn't recognize his relatives. Yi Yuni, these 2 steps are for you to take. It's really not as domineering as in the air. Eat, eat. Yi Yuni patted Dapeng's wings, and then thought that he could make medicine again today. After all, there are so many different strains. Then, Yi Yuni went to the basement and began to search for the medicine according to the prescription in his mind. When he finally looked at it, the corner of his mouth twitched. All the low-level medicinal materials have been gathered. But this top-grade medicine now has many different strains. Instead, you can go to the trading market today. Thinking about it, Yi Yuni just went out with the different strains. Here, we see Bai Jixi standing in the garden, surrounding the fish in the man-made lake. Bai Jixi looked at him and was stunned. Husband, you have so many alien strains this early in the morning. What's the matter? Do you want a touch-up? One sentence made Yi Yuni look over. Now looking at Bai Jixi, he gently placed the different plant on the ground. This girl, it seems that it won't work if we don't clean it up. Here, Bai Jixi also stuck out her tongue. I felt fear right now. Just ready to run. Next moment, a figure flashed in front of her. Then, she felt like she was being carried on someone's shoulders. Put me down. Snapped. A crisp sound sounded, and Bai Jixi suddenly felt pain. His face turned red for a moment. Yi Yuni carried her and snorted coldly, let you see if I need to replenish it. One sentence made Bai Jixi want to slap herself in the mouth. Your own mouth. Just talk nonsense. This is just great. Yi Yuni was ready to take Bai Jixi into the house. Next moment, Qingling Dapeng appeared next to Yi Yuni. Bai Jixi looked at it and was also stunned. What a huge beast. At first glance, it seems that it is not something to be trifled with. Then, he saw Dapeng being affectionate to Yi Yuni. Bai Jixi was also stunned immediately. After a long time. Then he slowly said, Honey, is this your bird? Well, this is my new exotic beast, Qingling Dapeng. Yi Yuni said something, but then there was no need to explain to Bai Jixi anymore. Take her directly towards the house. Inside the garden, Kai Yanhu was taking a leisurely stroll with Xiao Haixi. There was also enjoyment on his face. After all, this place is not small. It's much better than the previous villa. This way. When two strange beasts take a walk. Next moment. It just feels like a shadow is cast in the sky. At that moment, the two strange beasts looked up. Then I saw the Qingling Dapeng. Roar. Ouch. The wolf howled and the tiger roared immediately. Phew. In the air, after a bird song, the Qingling Dapeng is also roaring down. Then he rushed towards Kai Yanhu and Xiao Haixi. In an instant, 3 gold-level beasts started fighting. Qianyu didn't know why, he just thought it was an intruder, and immediately stepped on it. He rushed directly towards the Dapeng in the air. The rock dodged, and then flapped its wings, meeting the red flaming tiger's claws. Kang! A sound like metal colliding suddenly popped up. Xiao Haixi also shot up and headed towards Qingling Dapeng's head. Next moment, a shadow flashed past, just grabbed Xiao Haixi by the neck. Then it fell to the ground. Push Xiao Haixi to the ground. Xiao Haixi was still ready to resist, but when he saw the person coming, he suddenly lost his temper. It was none other than Yi Yuni. Xiao Haixi here looked at him, also trying to please him, and even stretched out his tongue to lick Yi Yuni's hand. Take it back. When Yi Yuni shouted, Xiao Haixi took it back and acted honestly. Here, Yi Yuni stood up and stared at Qianyu and Qingling Dapeng. In an instant, 2 strange beasts also came to Yi Yuni's side. Are you good at fighting? One sentence. It made the 2 strange beasts tremble all over. He bowed his head respectfully. Feeling Yi Yuni's anger, he didn't dare to make any other moves. Stay here for me and don't let anyone in. If you dare to make trouble again, I will come out before I finish my work and make you all stew. In one sentence, the 3 strange beasts were like sifting chaff. Then he stayed there honestly. Stew, this is no joke. Seeing that these 3 guys were honest, Yi Yuni went back. At the same time, outside, in an elegant room, several city lords looked at this place and couldn't help but sigh. This blue and white barrier is just different from their small barriers. There is actually such a private room and a place to eat. Then, they looked at Dongfang Ruiyu and said, Dongfang City Lord, please call Lord Yi over later. Dongfang Ruiyu nodded and then stood up, heading towards the garden. After knocking on the door, Zhou Weiwei opened the door for her. Sister Ruiyu, Sister Zhou, where is Lord Yi City? Zhou Weiwei heard that Dongfang Ruiyu was looking for Yi Yuni. After thinking about it for a while, I gave him a general direction. You are a stranger and you can run fast, so go and see if my husband is done with his work first. Okay. Dongfang Ruiyu then tapped his feet. Head over there. After a while, Dongfang Ruiyu arrived there. She was just about to look for it. Next moment, I just felt the terrifying pressure coming from not far away. She looked over. Then there was a moment of surprise. The corner of his mouth twitched right now. What's this? I saw Qianyu looking at her eagerly. The remaining Xiao Haixi also has a huge rock bird, Jiyu Langshi. Everyone is staring at her. It's simply not too scary. It was as if she was one step closer. It will tear her apart. At first glance, it's where Yi Yuni is. Okay. Good guy. These three-door gods are here, who can get in? For a moment, time became quiet. Dongfang Ruiyu seemed to be able to hear her pounding heartbeat. After all, who wouldn't be nervous when facing these three-gate gods? Next moment, there seemed to be some different sounds in this silence. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu was stunned as he listened. Look into the house. Then he was thinking about whether the business that Zhou Weiwei mentioned just now was completed. His face turned red immediately. It turns out that the real thing is this. No wonder these three-door gods were blocking it. Excuse me. And, listening to this voice, it seems to be from Bai Jixi. Then, she just backed out, returned to the private room. Several people here came together. How about Dongfang City Lord? Is it City Lord Yi who won't come? This sentence made Dongfang Ruiyu very upset. What did she say? In an instant, she said, City Lord Yi is busy with business. Just wait. Everyone nodded. Wait, it's almost noon. Dongfang Ruiyu stood up and said, I'll go take a look again. Come here again. The three-door gods also became alert for a moment. Here, Dongfang Ruiyu felt numb as he listened. It's almost noon. How many hours? Can this serious matter be done for so long? Are you so powerful? As she listened, Bai Jixi's voice became much quieter. I am afraid that those who were killed will lose their armor. At the moment, she went back. After a while, she estimated that the time was almost up. Also ask them to order and serve the food first. Then Dongfang Ruiyu passed by again. But, the sound of the waves is still there. This time, Dongfang Ruiyu sat directly there. Waiting. But, his face became increasingly red. Waited for a while. Here, several city lords looked at a table of dishes and felt cold. Why hasn't this come back yet? But there is no way. I can only ask someone to heat up the food. This way. Dongfang Ruiyu heard the voice disappear. Immediately he stood up suddenly. This time, the three strange beasts in front of me were all startled. At that moment, he stared at her fiercely. Dongfang Ruiyu immediately pressed his hands to let them relax. She ducked to the side. After a while, Yi Yuni felt refreshed. Later, Bai Jixi also followed. It's just that the steps are empty. It was as if he had just fought with a strange beast. Dongfang Ruiyu looked at it. At that moment, the corner of his mouth twitched. This is, picking up yin and replenishing yang. Why is the gap between the two sides so big? A diamond-level alien, so terrifying. Yi Yuni also discovered Dongfang Ruiyu. What's wrong? City Lord Yi, the lords of the barrier city over there would like to invite you to have a meal. Dongfang Ruiyu said, and then Bai Jixi also came up. Ruiyu, have you been waiting outside? Was a question that Dongfang Ruiyu didn't know how to answer. How would she answer this? Bai Jixi saw her blushing face and understood immediately. For a moment, my face was red with embarrassment. Then the sound of her being tortured just now, isn't it? In an instant, Bai Jixi collapsed. She looked at Dongfang Ruiyu, with some different emotions in her eyes. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.